I'm back. Let's do the damn thing.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to take it to the Birdland. It's about to go down. Hope y'all ready. Yeah, let's go. Come and roll with me to the Birdland. Friends got to giving you the word, man. Any other BS is absurd, man. Sports talking, they give it to you firsthand. They can talk Terps, they can talk O's. Yeah, they both lit, that's how it goes. Baltimore squad, Ravens and Poe. Better tune in, here gonna the show. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS.
It's all about that BS, baby.
What's up, BSers?
Whoa, you're not Drew.
No, I'm not. I'm back, bitches. I'm here. Episode 205. Fred, Scott, Ryan, James, and Drew, the whole crew in the house tonight.
How was your hiatus?
It was nice, man. Needed a
tuber.
Real nice.
Listen, you know how you should be able to relate to this, Ryan. You should be able to relate to this. You know how, like, you know, when you put your kids down for the first time at night, you just got to come in and check on them every once in a while. Make sure they're still breathing. That's all it was. I just needed to make sure you guys were still breathing, that everything was going all right.
He's trying the daddy thing now on air.
That's what supposed to do that? Is that a rite of passage? I missed that.
The thing was, we didn't ban you. You said, I'm not going to watch.
I didn't. I did in the first show, and then I just had to do some sneaky shit for the last couple. Oh, man. Well, we got a lot to catch up, especially me. I got a lot to say. It's been a minute.
Preface this for the couch and the producer and myself. When he goes off on shit that we've already talked about, we're just going to shut up and let him go off.
That's right.
Did you give me a mute button for Fred yet?
No, we might need to work on that.
Yes, we got a lot to catch up on. I was excited about all this Ravens news that we had going on, and then I got hit with the hammer today as we got some news that yet another Raven went down today with an injury. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because it's been on both sides of the ball now. And how long they're going to be out and who the next man up might be. Yeah,
I'm excited for us to talk about that. Also, you know, the Birds add some exciting pieces in the mix to the Big League Club. Your son continues his historic season.
Yeah. That was another thing. I needed to take some time away to, you know, go enjoy my son for a while. Oh, the All-Star game was great. You know, I got to stay up in a nice suite, nice luxury box.
Just to be clear, you should let the fans know how it was because that's where they legit thought you were.
Did you see the family photo? I was like way in the back, but I mean, I was there. I was in the family photo. And then in this week's rundown, we're talking Field of Dreams, Bruce Springsteen, and the passing of a legend, and more.
All right.
So we got a lot to cover. But before we do, I'm going to give some kudos to Drew.
I was going to say, should Drew just do the ad read?
Do you want to do this ad read now? You're so good
at it. It's not my job
it.
anymore. You took my chair. Your job.
Sounds like somebody's a little
Back to
bitter.
you. I mean, you've had the accidents. I haven't. A big deal.
All right. Well, if you've ever been injured at work on an auto accident like I have and weren't sure who to call, 855-MD-CRASH. The Maryland Personal Injury Attorneys that'll have your back. If you find yourself in that unfortunate situation just like I have, Drew hasn't, apparently, give our team at MD Crash a call right away. We all know the cost of medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering. It can all add up quickly and potentially put you in a bad financial place. But if you want a team that will handle your case, big or small, and just give you some peace of mind, save this number now. 855-MD-CRASH. It's 855-632-7274. Be sure to follow them on Facebook for some fun giveaways, including tickets to maybe some Orioles games or maybe a future Ravens game. All right, guys, it's time for some flock talk. As I kind of teased in the beginning.
One thing to tease real quick, too, before we fully get into this.
Go ahead.
We got a bartender Blake
Bartender
here.
Blake is in the house.
Heyo!
He's referring to, he's saying, calling it now, James gets the number one draft pick. We are doing our Birdland BS league that we do every year. We've been doing it.
The redraft league.
The redraft league. The draft is tonight in the after hours. Stay tuned to find out what the draft order is.
Yeah, the draft is not tonight.
The
draft order.
The draft order selection is tonight. All right, so let's get into some Raven news. As I said, isn't all sunshine and rainbows right now as we got hit with some bad news. Big news out today was Rashad Bateman had to be helped off the practice field. Sounds like he's got a groin pull of sorts. According to Ian Rappaport, they're saying not structural damage, but they're potentially a grade 2 soft tissue injury, which is a moderate pull with substantial inflammation. But they got to go through some more testing to kind of find out the severity of it and see how long.
And to give people an idea, like a grade 2, we're looking 3 to 6 weeks. If it winds up being a grade 3, we could be looking 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
So you are hoping for a grade 2 or lower at this point. Really, you don't even want it to be a grade 2 because then it's only 2 weeks, maybe 3, that you have to worry about him being out of the lineup. But at the same time, either way, him not being on the field of practice definitely hurts.
If it's going to happen, I'm glad it happened when it did, and it didn't happen further into the preseason. At least we've got a couple of weeks for him to kind of heal up. We'll see what happens. Hopefully he's ready for week 1. I know you guys talked about this last week. Justin Houston.
Yeah, we got to get your thoughts. I mean, last week he was signed. We talked about the signing, and we were waiting for him to pass all the COVID protocols. And I think it was Thursday or Friday he passed, and he was at camp.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on the Houston signing, and then what you've heard and seen so far at camp?
I mean, it's been no secret. It's something we've talked about at ends on the show. Is that this was kind of the missing piece. This was the piece I thought in free agency that kind of made the most sense for this roster. Especially value to dollar. I mean, when you start looking at what they got this guy at.
Did you see the list from last week?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Crazy.
They basically paid pennies for this guy. And then you get guys like Yannick who, signed this mega deal out with Oakland or Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He makes this, gets this huge payday, which good for him. But for me, I'm putting Justin Houston's numbers right up against Yannick. I don't think they'll be that far off as long as everything stays healthy and all of that. I think Justin Houston's a good fit in this defense. He comes in, he's in great shape from what we can see so far. And I think the biggest benefit that you're going to see from this guy is the veteran tutelage. Young guys, obviously everything that we're hearing about OA so far has been great. It's still, training camp. We haven't seen what it looks like when the lights come on, but everything that we've heard is great, and all this is going to do is help benefit those guys.
And we're going to get into that later because we're going to break down a few of the positions and just who we're excited to see and things. So really excited to get your take on that. But is it really training camp until somebody gets hurt from the cornerback position?
No. So training camp has officially started. As Jimmy Smith,
the usual suspect,
one of the usual suspects. It's any combination of Jimmy Smith and Tavon Young. Knock on wood, Tavon Young still healthy at this point. Yeah, right. Jimmy Smith goes down, which I think sent all of Ravens' flock into a bit of a panic. But, fortunately enough, what we're hearing is that it's not as severe as first thought. It's just a low ankle sprain, which I, for one, have sprained my ankles more times than I can count over the years, and I know how severe it is, and there's definitely a difference between a low ankle sprain and a high ankle sprain as far as recovery time and all that. So they're saying a 2 to 3 week window on Jimmy Smith. So he is not a guy that I worry about, he needs the reps and he needs to get into the system.
He can be ready week 1.
Let him sit as long as possible, even if that means letting him sit all the way till week 1 so we know he's fully rested. The benefit that you get with Jimmy Smith, specifically against tight ends and coverage, is it's immeasurable. Like, there's nobody else on this roster that can cover tight ends as well as Jimmy Smith. The versatility that he brings as a corner, safety, linebacker hybrid, he can just play everywhere. And when you're going up against some of these big-name tight ends, week 2, we're going against Kelsey, the best in the league, right? You're going to need a guy like Jimmy Smith to be blanketing him if you want to win that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy going down, he hurts. And it's the versatility with Jimmy that hurts, too, because you also, we've heard Wink already say it this year, that he's going to be used at multiple different positions.
Right.
And it sucks. We don't know the exact circumstance, what play it was that he went down. There's not a lot of details that come out on that, but you just worry. I worry that they push him too far into that cornerback role. They need to let him drop back into that safety role a little bit more because he has more free range in that way. He doesn't have to shift on a dime like he does as much with a cornerback.
And I think we might see that, especially the Ravens are going to be up against the dollar, right? When we start paying Lamar, we start paying Mark Andrews, they're not going to be able to pay guys like Deshaun Elliott. Deshaun Elliott, as much as I love him as a player, him and Chuck Clark, I think, are two similar safeties that I think when push comes to shove, the Ravens are going to have to trim the fat somewhere when it comes to contract money. They're just not going to have enough money to give out to everybody. Deshaun Elliott might be one of those guys who plays his way out of Baltimore, and then at that point, you may see a guy like Jimmy Smith play more at the safety position, or one of these young guys. Who knows? I mean, there's still a lot of potential there.
You just mentioned there the trigger name for Drew last week.
What's that?
QB1.
Yeah. Yep. Lamar's back. Lamar's back from his
Dirty
COVID
now.
stint.
Didn't get any better after his little press conference today either.
Listen. I don't want to get into like the political stance one way or the other. I'm the type of person that, you know, if we're going to be pro-choice on everything else in life, like this should be a choice. That's whether you agree with it or not. It's his choice to get vaccinated or not. That's my stance on it. I don't want to get into a debate on that back and forth. I understand the impact on the team and his teammates around him and the health impacts on that. But again, it's a choice thing, in my opinion, just how I feel about it. But he's back. Gus is back, right? So we got the two guys that were out from the COVID list. That's exciting for me.
Yeah.
Lamar, you know, obviously they made comments about Lamar, like, hey, listen, the train's already left the station.
Yeah.
We're not slowing this thing down. You need to kind of get in here and get acclimated and learn. But Lamar is one of those guys. He's a quick learner, right? He's not – I don't think he's that far behind or anything. They're not really – reinventing this offense. It's more so the chemistry that he's got to build. He's got a new veteran wide receiver in Sammy Watkins. He's got the new rookie wide receivers, right? Mm-hmm. He's got J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be more involved in the passing game. So there's a lot of chemistry things I think that they need to be working on. But again, it's early enough that I don't think this is going to be an issue.
James?
My thing I just want to bring up real quick is I don't care about if he gets a shot or not.
Right.
But if someone asks him the question about his COVID, I don't want the bullshit answer like it's for me and my family. Like your play affects this team. So your bad decisions that you make because you're not vaccinated, which I'm all for. Like I don't. So
you are leaning one way or the other. Because if you're saying it's a bad decision, you're pushing. No.
I'm just saying like you can't hide a question someone asks you about.
But that's who gives a shit what he says to the media. All the responses to the media are bullshit.
No.
I'm
not talking about. I'm talking about. He's got to answer the questions because if he gets COVID again, not for getting the shot to say, you know, make good decisions by saying, hey, I'm gonna follow, like he says he's gonna follow the NFL protocol. I don't want him out at the club and all that because you're taking a higher risk now. And when someone asks you the question, don't be like, well, I'm not going to answer it. You're in the spotlight now. You have to shine now about it.
Right. Well, Garnett brings up a good point. He says the NFL just needs to make it mandatory because it's not on the players to get a shot if it's a choice. I get that.
Yeah.
But at this point, the NFL hasn't, right? So, okay, if you want to be mad at anybody because somebody did or didn't get the shot, be mad at the NFL that they haven't made that
like
mandatory.
I said, I'm not mad. I'm not mad if he gets it or not.
Right.
I don't care. I'm just saying, like, if it happens again, then you're talking about you love to win the Super Bowl.
I get it.
If he gets it during the playoff, he's going to miss it.
I personally worry about his long-term health. That's what I worry about because you talk about an immense athlete, a guy who, yes, he runs a lot, right? And this disease or this virus apparently affects your respiratory system, right? So, like, we have no idea what kind of damage that's done to this guy, and is that going to affect his performance on the field? You know, when you're a guy's set to make $400 million or $40-some million a year, whatever it's going to be, now you got some question marks as an organization. Go ahead, Ryan.
My only problem, I don't really have a problem with the family thing. That is, I mean, like you said, if it's a personal choice, it is between you and your family.
Yeah, right.
The problem came in where he said, I'm going to speak with the team doctors and see what they have to. The team doctors, every team doctor in the NFL has the same answer. Get the shot. It has been since day one.
Well, I don't know if he meant it as in,
what he was
I don't
talking
think
about.
he meant it as team doctors. I think he meant as his team of doctors, not the team, the Ravens doctors. It could be his personal doctors.
He also referenced, you have to look at the whole portion of the quote. He also was referencing the fact that he wants to ask them about the effects and ask them about the shot itself. That's where the whole thing was the choice idea. So let's kind of move it along because obviously, you know, QB and Gus the Bus come back, but we see Ronnie Stanley take the field on Monday. That was a good thing to see.
Because right now we've had some question marks around the offensive line, right? Kevin Zeitler went down with an injury, doesn't expect to be long. Bradley Bozeman, he hasn't been practicing now with an injury, right? So the flies are dropping. And granted, again, none of these injuries are expected to be long-term, but it was a sight for sore eyes to see Ronnie Stanley back out there, going through the motions, going through practice. Didn't look like he was hampered in any kind of way with that ankle.
Didn't look to be limping or anything.
No, I mean, now granted, his first practice was cut short, and I think that was part of the plan. They're going to ease him back in. You know, he's another guy that he's just so valuable to this team. You don't want to rush him back, right? You don't want to, risk the injury to it. Get him out there, get him acclimated to things. Because I'll be honest, and I said this on Twitter today, and I have no medical professional at any kind of extent, but I truly wonder if a lot of these injuries, because we're seeing all these hamstring injuries and muscle strain injuries, I wonder if it's hydration related. I understand that these guys have like some of the best people out there for hydration and everything, and they're constantly being fed water and whatnot, but it's hot in Baltimore and it's humid in Baltimore. I get sweaty walking out to the mailbox going back and forth. These guys are running around on the field.
Are you a high performance athlete?
No, I'm not, but I'm just saying the amount of water that these guys must be sweating out. I just wonder with so many muscle injuries if it's hydration related.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that. It could be nutrition based if they've changed nutrition. Look, there's a lot of things. It could be some of it last year. We questioned last year. We thought there was going to be a lot of soft tissue injuries last year.
Right.
Is this a lingering effect from that? Right. Because some of these guys had some time off, a little bit more time off last year, so they're not fully in a routine. There's a lot of things that could be happening, and it's still semi early in camp. We're really only into camp for by what 2.5 weeks now at this point.
We're about 3 weeks
Almost
away.
3 weeks.
3 weeks away from actually having to cut the roster down to 53. So we got a full 3 weeks to be able to go out there.
But this is also the guys that we're talking about are veteran guys that we have no anticipation of this team cutting.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly.
So that's the thing that you have to remember is it's really the next 3 weeks is really for some of the guys that we're going to be talking about in these position groups later on that we have our eyes on and we're looking at and we're saying, all right, this guy's it's a bubble type guy. So it's really something that you look forward to. Preseason game 1 Saturday.
I'm excited, man.
Saints.
Football.
It's back.
I'm gonna be back at the bank. I was there Saturday. I was there. Was it 2 Saturdays ago now? For the practice, and just being there for that was exciting. There was a lot of good things that I saw. I mean, obviously you guys all saw the video clips that the Ravens put out there and everything, but Bateman is the real deal. Like, it wasn't just the touchdown that he caught over Marlon, which was impressive in itself. The way he handles himself through drills, the way he comes in and out of his routes. There's a lot of professional about him, and he hasn't even played an NFL game yet. There's just a lot to like about Bateman. Chris Westry, I know that Garnett's a big fan of him. He's another guy that he could be, in my opinion, the replacement for a Jimmy Smith down the road if this guy continues to develop. He's got the size. He's 6'4", 200-pound cornerback, lanky, but he is a blanket. I mean, he has been blanketing coverage so far. Again, in practice, we'll see how it translates to the game. There have been 2 teams that have already given up on him, but I really like his development early. Oliver, we're going to talk a little bit about him when we get into the tight end group. Made some big plays at that practice. Yeah. So there's a lot to be excited about around that practice. And again, preseason game 1, temper expectations. You're going to see a lot of bubble guys in this game. You're not going to see many of the starters out there, especially with all the rash of injuries that we have right now. They're not going to want to risk any more.
Yeah, I think, let's kind of get into the position groups when it comes to that, right? QB1, everybody wants to see Lamar get out there. I think you'll see Lamar for a set of downs, maybe 2.
Right.
But you don't push him too hard, too far. You're giving him a little bit out there with some of these newer guys that are, you want to get out there. You want to get him comfortable. I think when you look at it, Roman made some comments that, to your point earlier, the train has left station. He needs to catch up, but he's got a lot of catching up to do because Tyler Huntley and Trace McSorley have apparently been doing a pretty good job in his absence.
I'll be honest with you. This is a closer battle for the
QB2?
backup. Yeah, for the QB2 than I thought it would be. I honestly thought Huntley would kind of run away with it, and I'm still in Huntley's camp. If I had to pick one, I'm still in Huntley's camp. But, yeah, I mean, both of these guys have been streaky, more good than bad. I will say that, considering Lamar hasn't been there, right? So these guys are getting more reps than they would normally get. But a lot of these throws that you see in the highlight videos and what we've seen out of camp have been good. So that's an interesting battle to watch over the next 3 weeks to see how that shakes out. Because I really, honestly, truly do not believe the Ravens carry 3 quarterbacks this year because they're going to have a lot of bubble positions and other positions that they're going to want depth that I don't think that they have the need for 3 quarterbacks, and I don't think they're going to be able to stash that third on the practice squad.
I was going to say that's the only thing that I think is the big question mark because you can't stash either of these guys.
No.
They're going to go somewhere. There's enough teams that could use. What you had? Who was it? Is it Indianapolis or not Indianapolis? Yeah, Indianapolis. That
Lost Carson
basically
Wentz.
has no quarterback right now. They don't know
Right.
what. They really kind of don't know what they're going to actually do. So to be able to get something like that, so maybe you're entertaining. You get these guys out there. Maybe you're entertaining some thought. Right, you're entertaining some potential trade opportunity to get one of these guys out and get something back for him before you drop him and have nothing for him.
Right.
So that's the thing that really gets me going. I'm really curious to see what happens. How do you feel about Lamar, being that he hasn't been out there? These are the two guys we just mentioned have had a lot of chemistry. We've heard James Prochet is a name that I threw out last week about a guy that he's been doing great, but how much of that is because he's already been working with McSorley and Huntley in the past with the passing game in the second string wide receiver core. How much of that is playing the effect, and how much for Lamar how hard is it going to be for him to get into a groove with some of these newer receivers and not fall back into Hollywood Andrews?
Yeah, so that's my biggest concern. Like I said earlier, I want to see him working with these new wide receivers specifically. Now that you've got some of the injuries that you've got, you still haven't seen Brown out there. Now you've got Bateman down, right? This is a time for another rookie like Tylan Wallace to step up.
Yep.
James Prochet, obviously, the reviews out of him is he's made a big jump from year 1 to year 2. Devin Duvernay might get more involved now than he's been getting, but those are the guys that I want to see chemistry with, and obviously Sammy Watkins at this point is wide receiver 1 because the depth issues and what we've gotten, Hollywood Brown not being out there. And so far, they seem to be having a good rapport together between Lamar and Sammy Watkins. So it's all positive. Yeah. Again, this stint of COVID, if it was going to happen, I think happened at the right time, that I don't think it's going to hamper that too much. And I think they got plenty of time to be able to get through that.
Well, obviously the other big news coming out, Josh Allen gets his contract.
Yeah.
Big contract. What is it, $42 million a year? I think is what it equates out to.
42 or 43.
Somewhere
like
right
that,
in there. How do you think this affects Lamar's contract with the Ravens?
I don't think it does. Originally, I thought it would, because it's just the way the quarterback positions always work, is whoever gets paid, the next person gets paid higher that's in that, same tier as them. But the Ravens have been down this road before with multiple players, and I don't remember who I heard say this, but I thought it was a great point. Laramie Tunsil got paid all that money. It didn't affect Ronnie Stanley's contract. Jalen Ramsey got paid all that money. It didn't affect Marlon Humphrey's contract. The Ravens are good at what they do. Pat Moriarty, Eric DeCosta, they're cat number guys. They know what they're doing. Lamar was always going to get paid $40+ million a year.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happened with Josh Allen, it didn't matter. Whether he goes 42 to 44 now, okay, that might impact it. He might go to $44 million because Josh Allen had it, but he was always at 42 regardless. So how much of a difference is that? $2 million a year,
right? I think the other thing to that, right, is you could structure this deal to be backloaded, right, to take some of the brunt of that later on. There's a lot of other things that can happen. The other thing that I think Eric DeCosta and I think we just proved it with Justin Houston. This guy's a top guy that turned down, supposedly, we haven't heard any figures, but it was supposedly a substantial amount more from the Steelers that he was being offered, that he considered.
And he said he was very close to signing with him.
And he winds up coming to us for what's reported to be much less. Again, don't know the numbers. What's much less? Is it $4 million? Is it $6 million? Who knows?
Right.
But they get guys to come here because I think they sell the values of this franchise.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason that you're willing to do that. And the guys that grew up in this franchise, there's a reason they're willing to take a pay cut of sorts. What they could get elsewhere, they know what they could get elsewhere. But they don't know how they're going to be played. They don't know the type of coaching they're going to get. They know what they've got here.
And that's I think the Ravens organization is a destination organization for veteran players. That's got, because you see it with veteran wide receivers all the time. We've seen it with veteran pass rushers over time.
Now.
Yeah, we've seen it with even the offensive linemen. It's when guys get to a point where they're on their third or fourth contract and they're not playing for money anymore. They're playing for a shot to win a championship. This is the club that they come with. This is the club they come to. But as far as Lamar goes, again, Lamar has said since day one that he wants to be a Raven. He wants to bring multiple championships to the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
The Ravens have said multiple times, including just the other day in John Harbaugh's press conference, that the deal will get done. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? Both of these sides want to get the deal done. It'll get done. Whether that happens before camp ends or not, or if it happens next year, honestly, in my opinion, doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Any takes out there? What do you guys think? Where do you think does Lamar's contract, is it severely affected by Josh Allen's contract?
No, I'm with Fred. I don't think like you gave exact reasons. Okay, yeah, Laramie Tunsil got the highest offensive tackle money.
Yep.
Stanley didn't one up him. I think that that means that between the Ravens and the players and their agents, they get on the same page 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
So I think to me, it's just for him, it's going to be the language of the stuff. It's like, yeah, you might be $1 million or 2 more,
right?
Or what's guaranteed here and not here. Or that's the kind of language. I think it's going to be different, and I don't think that has anything to do with anybody else's contract.
Both of these guys, Josh Allen and Lamar, were going to get paid.
Yeah.
Before we get to James' take, I just wanted to share these 2 comments because I thought they were really good. Adit said, Lamar has no agent, unlike Allen. Josh gets 40.8 to 41.3 out of his 43 million. Lamar probably gets 42 to 44. Lamar gets 100% pre-tax, and Allen gets 95 to 97% pre-tax. And then Steve, our buddy out of Louisville, he knows Lamar and he knows Louisville better than anybody. He says, I sincerely believe Lamar's loyalty. Not saying he doesn't get his, but being number 1 paid in the league, he doesn't matter. He's saying he don't care. It doesn't matter as much.
I love you, Steve, and I know you are a big Lamar guy. Listen, Lamar is about his money, and he's always been about his money. I mean, it's why he's got his own brand. We go through this all the time. But listen, I do think that there's a loyalty sense to it with the Ravens, that he wants to get a deal done, and he's going to give the Ravens every shot at getting that deal done. But he's not a guy that's be like, oh, I'm going to take a little less money because I want to go here. He doesn't come across to me as that kind of guy.
I think to Steve's point is Lamar recognizes that 31 other teams passed on him.
I get that.
31
so he's got that chip. He's always going to have that
and
chip.
He says,
I get that.
You know what? You helped me, and maybe that leads to a discount. I don't think it does. I think you're right. I think he does get the more than Josh Allen.
Rodgers discount, double check.
There you go.
Garnett says, I think it's all about guaranteed money and flexibility in years of getting a new deal afterwards. I agree with that 100%.
So, James, what's your take on it?
He's going to ask. I think he's going to get more money than Josh Allen. It's just a matter of when, or it could also depend on this season. If he's not signed by week 1, and we don't know where this pandemic is going or what. If he catches it again, it could affect his contract, him getting a longer deal.
Can we get away from COVID for a minute?
No, we were all love.
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying, this is his second time.
Yeah.
If he gets it again during the season and then gets it again going into the playoffs,
Holy cow. He's got the worst luck in the world.
I'm just
I mean, it's
saying,
already pretty bad twice in 8 months.
Yeah.
He's laying it on thicker than I was.
I'm just saying, I had a guy at work that got it twice.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on from that. Let's go.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about the Josh Allen contract just
Yeah,
for
go
a minute.
ahead.
I don't understand how you can dump this contract on this guy. He played 1 good year in front of no fans with this number 1 wide receiver.
Works both ways.
What if it is, we always talk about the quarterback head game. What if the crowd in the NFL really gets to Josh Allen? And now you see him this year and he's a total bum in these packed out stadiums because it really was a mental game. And he can throw the best ball in the world in practice. And basically the NFL games last year were nothing but empty stadium practices.
All right, so there's 2 folds. Allen was getting paid either this year or next year, right?
Yeah.
Unless he sucked this
it
year.
No. He was getting paid either this year or next year. And I think they're of the mindset, let's get him paid before Lamar gets paid, because if Lamar gets paid and he has another big year in front of these fans, he's going to get more. That's 1. 2, name me the last good Bills quarterback. Go.
Never.
J.P. Lossman.
No, go. Keep going. Jim fucking Kelly. When was that?
Hey,
1990.
man,
But we don't know if this is a good quarterback. It was 1 season.
Drew
bro.
Brees.
My point is, this is an
He's made
organization.
progressions from
This
year 1
is
to year
an
2.
organization that has been looking for a franchise quarterback for 30 years. That's the last
they
time Jim
drafted-
Kelly was here,
They
right?
drafted 3
Hey,
let's put it this way.
Hey,
Let's
to
put it this way.
Ryan's point, he could always be Wentz.
Well,
he could always be the next
and he
Wentz.
very well could be, but
I know that was injuries. I know that was injuries.
Yeah.
Some part of it, but
Here's the
That's
deal.
a risk with anybody.
When it came to, I would imagine that everybody in this room, I know that Fred and I we were scratching our fucking heads when it came to the Bills selecting Josh Allen because we didn't think he was the right pick at that time. Now the Bills are looking like goddamn geniuses the way he played last year.
Garnett,
I set you up, though,
Garnett,
James.
it is not.
I set you up.
It's not what if it happened. He only played in empty stadiums and he was good.
Right.
So there's plenty of quarterbacks out there that they're talented as all hell, but they're head cases. Like,
Garnett says Ryan has become the new what if guy.
Hey, Travis, that's a good pool. Doug
this is
Flutie.
not Scott's alternate universe.
I-
it literally happened. He was only good in
But
front
they
of
didn't
Noah.
draft Doug Flutie.
No,
No. He was a free agent.
free agent. That's right. Okay, yeah, came from Canadian football. But I set you up for that because I figured you'd hit me with the Ryan Fitzpatrick thing. But whatever. That's
Oh man! All right, well, let's kind of get into some of the position groups that we've kind of narrowed down as being areas that we're interested in seeing what happens over the next few weeks, right? So let's start in the wide receiver group, right?
a lot has changed really quickly.
Right. You got no Hollywood now, right now.
Although he's been back out on the field going through some warm-ups and going through some basic drills. Yeah. He's on the mend.
They haven't. People have been freaking out that they haven't put a timetable on him. Guess what? They put a timetable on him his first year and rushed him. In our opinion, rushed him back a little bit too soon.
What happened when Harbaugh put a time frame on Perryman?
Right.
That didn't work out.
No.
They were like, "Oh yeah, he'll be back in a couple of weeks."
So
all year.
So you got no Hollywood. You got no Miles Boykin. Who cares? He was gone anyway.
I could care less about Hollywood, too.
We care.
Do
Hollywood,
you really? Do you really care about Boykin?
I care now. I care now because because Bateman is down and because Hollywood's down. Yeah, we need that extra depth. No, listen, you got, like I said, we got a rash of hammy injuries with Hollywood going out with the hammy, Boykin going out with the hammy, the big injury today, the groin injury to Bateman, right? So, like I said, you're going to have some of these other guys get opportunities that I don't think would have had all the reps that they would have had these injuries not help. And I think this is good. We talked about going in this season. This is the first year I felt like this wide receiver core actually has some real depth to it that we haven't had in a very, very long time. Tylan Wallace is a rookie that I think I'm high on. I know James, I think, was high on him too out of Oklahoma State. I like this kid a lot, but he was going to be kind of on the back burner as far as opportunities go with the guys that he had in front of him. Well, this gives him a chance to shine. James Prochet, who has looked great in camp, was still going to be like the fifth or sixth guy on this roster.
Well, special teams, too.
Right. Yeah. But I'm just saying from a wide receiver depth perspective, he was going to be fifth or sixth on that roster. Now he moves up, and now he gets more opportunity to shine.
He needed this, and here's why, right? His special teams duties got pulled late last year. If you don't remember, they started putting Duvernay in there and started pulling Prochet out. Right? So now he felt like he had to, and knock on wood, he stays this way even when Lamar comes back and Lamar has that chemistry with him because the kid has been playing so well that he could be a guy that's not on the bubble. And even when these guys come back, he's probably going to be a more solid 5.
Right.
I'll call him a 5 right now is where I think he stands. Gotcha. But it's good to see him back. It's good to see him there. What do you think is the biggest reason you're seeing improvement in this group?
Yeah, it's easy. It's the Martin and Washington effect.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
T. Martin and Keith Washington. If you watch any of the drills that these wide receivers are doing, all of it's going to be new to you. It's all going to be drills that we've never seen wide receiver coaches do here in the past. And these two guys have great track records of success working with wide receivers. And I'm not saying that all of this success, all of the James Prochet specifically, just because he's been the guy that everybody's been clamoring about and talking about. He's a fucking worker. I like this guy's work ethic. I like the way he goes about it. He's the first one on the practice field, the last one to leave. He takes extra, catches off the jugs machines after practice. Like, he's got the right mentality. Whether it works out here or not in Baltimore, James Prochet will have a career in the NFL. Bet on that.
It's his first name.
James.
Jesus.
He will have a good career in the NFL. But I really think this T. Martin and Keith Washington effect is playing a huge, huge part, and it's been good to see. Sammy Watkins, I think, has also been a very good fit with this team. Obviously, the big worry with him is the injury concerns because he hasn't been able to he's only put one full season together in his entire career.
Well, he passed it along to the other wide receivers.
Seems to spread like a disease.
That bad voodoo.
Yeah. Hopefully he can stay healthy because, again, he's on a 1-year contract, right? Whether he's back here in Baltimore next year or not, it's going to be.
He needs to have a big year for himself. This is
his pay year.
This is a prove it. It's a prove it year, right? He came here on a 1-year prove it contract.
Yep.
This could open doors or it could close doors for him.
Right.
The Ravens are benefiting from his trying to open the doors.
Right.
Because he wants to get paid. And, who knows, if he has a good year, maybe that opens the door for us again the following year or, for a few years. We'll see. But this is a guy that he immediately comes onto the practice field. He was immediately wide receiver 1, like you talked about. He's a guy that is, kind of talking with some of these young guys in that wide receiver room. That's one of the things that we heard that T. Martin, when he did his little bit of a presser, he was saying, Sammy's talking to these guys a lot. He's getting out there. That's one thing, and I'm going to get into it later. That's one common theme I have heard throughout this entire training camp, more than I've ever heard it before, is the veterans on this team really truly taking the young guys under their wing and saying, "Come here, let me show you something. Let's talk about something." Even the veterans that we saw before, the video that was out there with who was it? I think it was Marcus and Marlon that were sitting there, talking about movements and first steps and all that kind of stuff.
It was Jimmy. It was a
maybe
combination
Jimmy
of
and Marlon.
two,
It was one of the two.
Right.
But either way, there's something right now. The culture just seems different.
You hit it on the nose. It's the culture of the organization, right? It's the culture of the organization, I think, has always been there. But then you get the right assistant coaches in place, and I think these two guys are big. And again, the personalities on this team, they're focused on one goal: winning fucking football games, winning the Super Bowl. The entire team has that mentality. You don't got a bunch of guys that are me guys on this team. You got guys that are all going after one common goal. And that's what I like about this team. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
So the other position group that we had some worries about going into this year that I know we talked about a little bit, the outside linebacker edge rusher group, right?
Yeah.
Talked a little bit about when we first started. Justin Houston, now in the fold, looks in good shape. But I think to your point with what you're just saying, the knowledge and experience that he brings is immeasurable because you've got such young guys in Owe and Hayes, that these guys are just going to absorb the knowledge from Houston like a sponge. And I've already seen at camp on Monday, he was walking the outside linebackers through Euro steps and chops tutorials and all this stuff. That was his second day. Maybe it might have been his first day at camp.
Third day. He was there on Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
already adapting and taking these guys under his wing is huge.
Yeah, and it's big. It's exactly what you want. And we talked about it last week with Owe when in his interview, he talked about, he's been picking Calais' mind left and right. And he said, when the guy with 97.5 sacks gets here, I'm going to be picking his brain too.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening. It's exactly what you want to see. You want to see him, walking them through this stuff. And that's a guy that, we talked about. What do you think? What do you think of what you're hearing of Owe so far?
Oh man, it's been great. I mean, again, at that practice on Saturday, watching him run around the field, you got to remember, this group of quarterbacks that the Ravens have are the most athletic group of quarterbacks in the entire league. They probably have put together the most speed of any quarterback group in the entire league. And when Owe is running guys down sideline to sideline like Huntley, we all saw a small sample size, but we saw how fast Huntley can be.
Right.
Run a guy like him down on the sideline.
That's impressive.
That's impressive, right? Yeah. Does it translate? We'll see. But so far, he looks to be a good fit in this system. And when you pair him opposite side of a guy like Justin Houston, who you double teaming? Who are you putting the double on? Because you're probably going to put it on the veteran, which means Owe is going to get a ton of one-on-ones, and that speed's going to beat them every time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So I think we need to take this moment to officially apologize to Owe.
100%.
So I'm gonna give the Fred
He
Cam.
beat me to it.
100%. Give the Fred Cam.
100%.
Not all of
My
us.
apologies.
Not all of us.
Jason, Odafe, whatever you want to be called today, my apologies. I was not excited about the draft pick.
All of our
I have
facial
changed my
reactions.
tune.
Draft day, yes. After the fact, I remember it kind of thumping my chest a little bit a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We've all slowly came around, but it was bad day one.
All right, Carlozo, you have your moment. You're welcome. That's
You
fine.
better give it to James too,
and
Mr. Penn
James,
State over
and
there.
James, right.
They're
man.
Florida fans. Orange Coast fans.
Oh yeah, they wore the Florida shirts yesterday or last week.
But rein it in for a second. On the flip side, because I want to get your guys' opinion on this, right? So we add a guy like Justin Houston to the mix, a guy like Jalen Ferguson, right? who was the opposite of Oweh. He's coming in setting records for sacks, and he broke T Sizzle's record, right? Oweh didn't have a single sack last year, right? So these two guys,
part of that was a little bit of that was opportunity.
No, I get that. You're missing my point. These are two guys at two totally different ends of the spectrum. The way that they came into the organization.
Daddy's talking.
We have not seen anything of promise so far out of Ferguson for where he was drafted and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, this is a big, big year for Jalen Ferguson, but having a guy like Houston is going to limit his opportunities. Drew, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can't give the guy the benefit of the doubt anymore, really. I mean, yeah, it's make or break, and I know sometimes, and especially with the Ravens, a guy can sit there and be muddling for a couple years, and then all of a sudden,
boom,
time to earn a contract and
figures
boom.
it out.
And I hope that's the exact case as every single year. But I'm just saying, you haven't seen it yet from him. At least some of those guys in the past, as you can point out, gave glimpses of something.
Right.
But it's just he had his chance last year, with some injuries, and it's just that would have been time to take the reins, and he just hadn't shown anything.
He got better last year as an edge setter, but as a pure pass rusher, I just didn't see it. That hasn't translated to the NFL yet. James, go ahead. What's your opinion on Fergie?
I heard that it's totally different this year, that he has caught on to it. He's looking good.
Good.
He's actually showing other players.
I didn't see anything on Saturday. That's all I'm going to say is I didn't see any promise out of him on Saturday. But maybe he is. I hope he's saving it. I like where your head's at.
Fred's here. I'm not going to show off.
That's exactly what it was.
I mean, another guy that we were kind of worried about going into this year, because the question mark was, is this guy going to be
Garnett, real quick, that's a great point. Ferguson needs to put on weight so he can kick inside. I love that point because they are so thin at D tackle. I think putting him either at the defensive end or if you put on enough weight, being at a D tackle might be a potential opportunity for him down the road. That's a good point.
But when you talk about the pressure that we could put on a quarterback, there's one guy that has been able to really step up and
Matabeast.
Justin Matabeast, as you guys want to say it. Look, he's been getting a lot of credit. You talk about
Donald.
Think about that line right now, right? Justin Houston, away, Calais Campbell, which you can now move inside.
He plays all over the place, but yeah.
He does, but now with Houston out there, you can have him play inside a little bit more.
I gotcha.
B. Will. Now you got Matabuike stepping in there and able to hit the quarterback at times, and they're saying he's also able to drop back into coverage when you need him to.
Matabuike is going to, so in my opinion, I think you're going to have Big Baby in there against runs, and you're going to have Matabuike in there and against pass situations because he can manhandle any single coverage. If he gets any single coverage one-on-one, he's going to bully them, and he's going to be able to get after the quarterback from the interior.
Well, and he's hearing it. We're hearing this not just from the coaches of this guy's doing good or from the media. Derek Wolfe gave him a lot of praise.
Yeah, he did.
And he
I
said
like Derek Wolfe.
He apparently gave him the Matabeast nickname, by the way. So. He says that in his words, he says he's talented, and as soon as he realizes that, he's going to be a force to reckon with.
Yep.
And he's got the right guys around him.
Baby Donald.
Because this is a guy, Wolf talked in his interview about the rookies overall and the vets. They've taken to the vets. The vets, they're coming to the vets like, feed me more, right? They want more knowledge from these vets. And they're letting them know what you need to do, what you need to say, how you need to handle things, right? The coaching staff is letting it happen. They said that they're in the video room. They're looking at stuff, breaking down things together, not just breaking it down individually, but they break it down together. It is a true team
common goal,
and it's a common goal. And I said it before. This is, if you didn't get the chance to see this, go look at Derek Wolfe's interview this past week. I want to say it was Thursday or Friday that he had it. Just the way he talked, and you listen to subsequent interviews after from some of the other defensive players, something's got me. This could be biting from injury. This sounds like it's got the potential to be one of the best defenses we've seen in a long-ass time.
It's a very good defense, and it's a very deep defense.
Right.
Defensive tackle is the one spot that I'm worried it's a little thin.
pump the brakes, guys.
Broderick Washington, it's a very good defense.
I understand, but last
I'm not
year
saying
we had no
it's-
pass rushers. Everybody wanted Judon, this and that.
But
had no
we got pass rush in multiple ways. That's not how
We got
Wink
pass
is.
rush with 2 guys. Now you have 5 to 6 guys doing the exact same role. You aren't going to have guys
It all
getting
looks
tired.
good on paper.
Yeah.
You know,
I
Cable
get
went
that.
down last year. We had some injuries as well. Like, I want to see it happen before I say.
But now
hey,
if Campbell
I
goes
agree.
down, Ferguson should be able to step up.
We're fans first, James. We're fucking excited.
I'm excited too, but
Jesus.
no, but say
Debbie
this-
Downer on the couch.
hell no.
Jesus.
Going, this could be like one of the best. Come on, man. Nothing
I didn't
could
say
beat the
that.
2000s.
I was just saying it's going to be a
I-
very
no,
good
I
defense.
said-
a while. He didn't say the
I said-
best ever.
I
He
said
didn't
one
say
of the
back
best
to
defenses
2000.
in a while.
James, putting
There's
in
just-
words in people's mouths.
Yeah.
Wait, think about
Since
this. Think about
1984.
this. When you heard the defense talk when Ray was around and in his prime, the defense just had a different mentality.
Hey,
this defense 2 years ago, we had the top defense in the league, and people were saying this is the greatest defense that we've seen since Ray Lewis in that 2000.
God, that's great and all, but I sound the same way when we do our draft. Say, hey, you guys get ready for ass whipping, you know, this and that. And then
Hey,
You
hold on.
want to know the difference?
Hold on.
They're working with computer
Hold
stats.
on.
You're working with a damn
Hey,
magazine.
Not
Hey,
anymore.
I know what James is doing.
Can't we all
He's
just
trying
get
to
along?
fake all of us out so he can draft them in the 6th round.
I know,
That's what
right?
he's doing.
Exactly.
That's exactly
No,
right.
but I'm saying, pump the brakes. When I see it physically on the field, I will come back. But you
you're
guys
right.
are like,
All
you
right.
know, this
I
is
want to
like-
see it. What I'm saying is I can clearly hear a different tone to these guys talking. They're talking about this team differently. They're talking about this defense differently than I think we've heard in the past several years. Even in the past several years, we've been competitive. And the past several years that we've had a great defense. There's just something with the tone of this team and the culture that's different.
Right. No, I agree with that. All right. So let's move on,
What
right?
is Ryan Todd?
Look at this comment.
What's the comment?
Ferguson got more kids than quarterback sex.
That's sad. That's sad. Maybe true. That's
It may be
sad.
true. It may be true. Kids or not.
But he gets these like J.C. Penney looking family pictures. It's funny. If you ever see him on social media, it's hilarious.
All right,
Anyway, let's move on, right? So another obviously area that I think a lot of fans are probably keeping an eye on, and it's probably only us as an organization that even gives a shit about this.
Because we have a good history with
Because
it.
we have a good track record with it, right? And that's the undrafted free agents. Every year up until last year was the first year that we didn't have an undrafted free agent make the roster. I think it was like 16 or 17 years. I don't even remember. It was a long time up until last year we didn't have one. There are a few guys that people have had their eyes on.
Yeah.
One was a guy that Ryan was so high on they wanted to draft him in the 5th round of this draft. Adrian Ely.
Fifth and undrafted aren't that far apart.
I really hope this kid makes the team. I don't even care. Just for
Oh,
Ryan's
man.
sake, I want them to make the team so bad.
Honestly, listen, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but Ben Mason, I don't think he makes this roster. I really don't think he makes this roster. And if Adrian Ely makes it and they swap each other out, because I think we could have gotten Mason as an undrafted free agent and we get Ely as an undrafted free agent, he makes the roster. I'm okay with it at the end of the day. And Ryan, I will give you your credit.
No, that just puts the icing on Ryan's cake at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
because
the
it's
Michigan
So he got so excited he had to shift around in his chair. He's like, oh man, he just said Mason's not going to make the team.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh man, my Michigan boy that was drafted just to pay off his brother doesn't make it, and my guy does. That's the way the draft was supposed to go.
But the way that it went down, it was cheaper.
I don't see it. Listen, there's I think Josh Oliver, the tight end that they got from the Jaguars. We're going to
Hey,
talk about
man,
him.
we're getting it.
But I'm just saying, I think he's playing his way onto the roster, and I don't think Mason's going to have a spot.
We'll
That's
see.
just my opinion.
Another guy is the safety out of TCU, Darius Washington.
Yeah.
He's been impressing a lot of people with his safety play. The fact that he's behind Brandon Stevens right now when it comes to that, because Brandon Stevens has made a little bit of that transition. He's gotten a little bit of the more notoriety, but this is a guy that there are people that are sitting here watching him, and this is a guy, I'll be honest.
Don't put that up, Brian.
From every...
I know he wants to so bad. Daddy speaks. Don't put it up.
Daddy's back.
for everything that we're talking about with Brandon Stevens, Washington is a guy that comes in. He's everybody expecting to be low value. The way he's been playing, the things that we've been hearing out of the media, how he's been playing in coverage. This is a guy that if he doesn't make this team, as the undrafted free agent. I do think he goes elsewhere and he makes the team somewhere.
We're talking about Washington still,
Washington,
right?
yeah.
So the only downside to Washington is his size. I think he's got the ability to make any NFL roster, and I think here makes a lot of sense, especially with the question marks long term with Deshaun Elliott. You know, if they're not going to be able to sign him long term, I think Washington is a guy that has a legit shot. We'll see what happens over the next 3 weeks. I like what I've heard about him so far. Another guy now. Credit goes to Garnett on this because I know he's a big fan of him. And listen, he's not an undrafted free agent this year. He wasn't one in 2021, but
This
he
is the
was
next
in
Cedric Mullins.
2019.
I'm just going to say it right now. This is next Cedric Mullins.
100%. I've been on this guy since practice number 1. Everything I've seen about him, I like. He was a 2019 undrafted free agent that was signed by the Cowboys, and that's Chris Westery. He's making noise. 6'4", like I said, 200-pound cornerback. He's got a body similar to Jimmy Smith, a little thinner in their lower body. God, he's got chicken legs, but he's got strength up top, and I think he can develop, and he's looked really good so far in coverage. I'm excited to see how he looks over the course of this preseason. I think he's got a legit shot at making this roster because we all know between now and the end of this preseason, more than likely, there's going to be an injury to the cornerbacks.
Yeah, we know that that's an area that we always have to have depth in every year. You have to because it's a guarantee that a cornerback's going to go down week 4, week 5, and then another one on week 12, week 13. It just happens.
Yep.
It's bound to happen. So you have to have depth here. The problem is where do you rob Peter to pay Paul? Right. Because where are you going to take that depth from to keep him or to keep a guy like him? He's been playing well. But look, Saturday's preseason game versus the Saints.
Yep.
Ravens are 17-0 in the preseason, going back to 2016.
Who the fuck cares?
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. But there's some things that I think we got to kind of look at. And first off, I want to start. What are you looking for with the offensive line specifically in this game?
Stay healthy. I'm interested to see what happens with some of the tackle depth because that's one of the biggest question marks. Obviously, Ely's probably going to get a good amount of play in this game. I want to see how he looks. There's some internal offensive line battles that are going on. I think Ben Bredeson is on the bubble right now. I think Ben Powers is on the bubble right now. So I'm interested to see which one of those guys steps up. Can Makari get the snaps?
I was going to say, that's one of the things I've heard a few people say is, does Makari make this team?
Yes.
I think so, but there's people questioning it because
versatility.
Exactly. There's people questioning it because they think there's not versatility because of the issues that we saw at center last year.
Again, I think we're scarred by Skura.
Yeah,
listen, I understand that he had a few snap problems, but so is Bozeman so far. I think Makari makes this roster if he stays healthy just based on his versatility. But there are some battles internally on that line.
Okay. What are you looking at next after line?
After line, I'm looking at the rookies, right? I mean, obviously we had the injury to Bateman go down. But I want to see Tylan Wallace. I want to see what he looks like. I haven't seen a whole lot of highlights out of him, a couple of catches here and there. Didn't see a ton out of him at the stadium practice on Saturday. So I'd like to see how he gets acclimated. Obviously, Owe, does his speed translate to being disruptive in a game?
Well, what is the combination of him and Hayes? Because they're probably going to get a lot of playing time together. What does that combination look like? Because you have to be in all reality. There's a potential that combination could be the future.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of take a step back and say, what do these two guys look like now? What can they look like? I think Owe's ceiling is much higher. We've heard some out of Dalen Hayes that he looks pretty good, but we haven't heard the flashes that we've heard elsewhere, right? So Dalen Hayes is a guy that I think people should keep their eye on when it comes to those rookies. And what does he look like in this Saints game? Because that'll dictate how much playing time he gets for the rest of the preseason.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I think, like we just talked about a couple minutes ago, Ben Mason's going to have to make a huge impression for him to even be considered for a roster spot. Will he get a shot at the practice squad if he makes some noise? Yes, he'll make the practice squad. But getting an actual roster spot on the 53, I think is going to be really tough for him based on the tight end depth that we're seeing so far, and they're never going to carry two fullbacks.
Practice squad is what they call Michigan.
Right. And I'm fine with the practice squad with him. I'm not fine with a 5th-round pick being on the practice squad. That means you wasted a 5th-round pick, in my opinion.
One of the things that I think is that you have to look at in this game, and I don't think they're going to tip their hand a lot when I say this. I don't think that Greg Roman Martin and Washington, because I do think Martin and Washington have a little bit more input than anybody else has ever had in the passing game.
Seen a lot more of Martin and Washington than I have of Roman.
Exactly.
In practice.
So I think that we wind up seeing a little bit. They're not going to fully tip their hand. We're still going to see some designed run plays, especially when you have Huntley and Trace McSorley on the field, because you've already seen in practice what they can do. You might translate it a few times, but you're going to see, can we run the same scheming that that we're planning on running with Lamar? The question is how much throwing do we see Lamar do?
Right.
And who is it to? Is it designed?
I think you'll see Lamar for one series.
I think it's 1 to 2 series. My question is it design throws that we see him get comfortable and fall into Andrews and if Hollywood's probably not going to be back for the preseason, but is he hitting Andrews and maybe Sammy, or is he kind of spreading the ball out throughout the series?
I think he runs one series. I think it's a basic series, or you might see him run like a 2-minute type drill. I think they're going to make it situational for him.
Fair enough.
That type of thing, and then he's out, and then it's the backups after that at that point. But I am interested to see the difference in these wide receivers. Do they come out of their routes better? Do they look better as a group? I mean, everything that we're hearing so far, obviously we talked about it 100 times. It looks great. Let's see how it translates to the game.
Yeah, fair enough. So I know that you wanted to propose a question to everybody.
Yeah, so outside of the obvious, we're not going to pick the big names. I've already mentioned a few of these guys. So I wanted to get everybody's take in here. Somebody different. Everybody pick a guy. Who's one guy you're excited to see specifically, and what are you looking to see out of him this week? Ryan, I'll let you lead off.
I want to see Justice Hill.
Okay, that's a good name.
I want to see whether that's a roster spot we're opening up, because that's where I lean with it. I don't think that he's shown much since he's been here. I think that what he brings on special teams can be duplicated by many of these wide receivers that we're wanting to hang on to in his place, and he's done almost nothing from the backfield. So I'm not. I want to see whether he can prove me wrong.
So with Justice Hill in mind, if he's not the guy at RB3, is the RB3 on the roster? Because I can't see the Ravens only carrying 2 running backs. That's what I'm saying. So you're saying maybe a free agent?
It could be a free agent, which it probably would be a
Todd Gurley?
free agent, or
No.
yeah, Todd. Let's go with Todd Gurley and do the
Todd.
Let's go to the Tampa Bay route where we don't play him till week 17 and like just have it for the playoffs.
Right.
Just sit here, be healthy, Todd. I don't want to see you get hurt.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a good name.
Or it could be just an extra spot for Ben Mason if that's the spot we're looking at it. He's a second fullback. That's we had McLean as our starting running back for a while. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time in the world the Ravens did something weird with running back 3.
That's a good point. James, who's your guy? Who you watching?
Well, I don't have a guy. I just have our offensive line, because I think this year is big for Lamar to have protection, to do his thing, to be able to get this offense rolling. So I just hope multiple guys in the offense can show that we can lock down some positions and be ready.
One name we haven't brought up on the offensive line, talking about that, is Villanueva, right? The veteran that came in so far. We've heard some struggles out of him so far in camp. That's
There's
a little
also
alarming.
been some rumors of some struggles the past week with Ben Cleveland.
He's a rookie.
thank
He's
you. I
working
don't agree
through
with that.
Yeah.
He's working through stuff. I think he's on the progression that we expect. But a guy like Villanueva, who comes in as a veteran, who's going to be the starting right tackle, we're expecting him to.
So let me ask you a question. I'm going to play devil's advocate with this. How much of this is him going against one of the most complex defenses?
Yeah, I mean, he's
on a regular basis.
He's switching from the left side to the right side, so there's getting used to that footwork again, which he said wasn't a big deal. It's probably just going to take time. That could be part of it. There's a lot of speed on this defense. There is a lot of complexity to this defense, and there's a lot of complexity to this offense. This offense is completely different than what he's used to running. He's excited about it because he's doing a lot of run blocking, and I know these offensive linemen love to run block, but we'll see. Drew, who do you got?
My guy's Brandon Stevens.
Okay.
So I mean, you think of it nowadays, 3rd round picks aren't any slot. There's not. That's a value pick at this point. It's not like a throwaway pick. So I know, like initially we were kind of like it was a little bit up in the air. Well, maybe he's just a project or what. But with Jimmy Smith being out, it opens up a spot for some of these other guys to show off.
Right.
I'd like to see if he's that guy, because that's the guy we talked about. Like we don't, is it a hybrid of a safety cornerback situation, and you got him floating around a bit. And with it being the first game, a guy like him is going to be the one that gets a lot of work anyway.
Right.
Forget the fact that Jimmy Smith was hurt, but you're not going to see much of Humphrey and Peters. So you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're going to open the spots up for these other cornerbacks. So as much as you talk about Westry, that's cool to see him too. I'm interested to see if Stevens can do something.
Right. All right, Scott, who you going with?
So for me, I had a hard time with this
Okay.
because it came down to 3 guys that are all fighting for one position.
Okay. Think I know where you're going.
Tight end 3 here,
All right.
right? We all say that they need a 3 tight end set. Nick Boyle, give him time to come back healthy. He should be fine. He showed you a good amount last year. We know where Andrew stands. We know what he brings to the table. We do better with a 3 tight end set.
2 tight end set, you mean 3 or 3 tight end deep.
3 tight end deep.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but there are times that they would go 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
That's what worked,
Right.
Because you could pull that 3rd tight end out as a guy that can block. A guy like Mason, who's known for his blocking abilities.
I got you.
Right?
I'm following you.
You got Oliver, who is going off the charts in practice right now with his hands.
He looked
the
great
guy is
Saturday.
grabbing everything thrown his way. We're seeing a lot of, granted, we're seeing the highlights. We're not seeing the lowlights, but everything we're hearing is this guy's catching everything in his catch radius.
You're absolutely right. He's a guy that looked great on Saturday. Still hasn't played a down in NFL regular season play yet, so he's still got a lot of learning to do, but he shows a lot of promise.
There's a lot of promise there.
Yeah.
The other guy is Tony Poljan, right? And that's a name that you're
Bless
going,
you.
Who? Exactly, yeah. I literally said to you this before, and you went, who? And I was like, I only mentioned his
forgot
name
about
like
this guy.
4.5 weeks ago. But this guy's undrafted guy that we got out of Virginia. In his 1 year at Virginia, he set tight end records.
Yeah.
Right, for catches. This guy not only catches, he's 6'7", 250. He is solid muscle. His ability to separate from defenders is above what they think he should be. The other thing that's the kind of X factor here with him, and where I think maybe if it's not tight end for him, I think he might make this roster. There's a lot of people saying this is a great special teams guy. This is a great guy that can block,
But
he
he's
can
got to
also
have a
be hands.
position. So if you don't think he's tight end, where is he playing? He's got to have a position.
I understand that. I think when it comes down to position, I think out of the 3 guys, he's the lowest on the group. But
Yeah, agreed.
he provides you the most versatility. What we're hearing out of Oliver is that there's physicality with getting the ball, maybe not as much physicality with blocking.
No, that's true. He's definitely a receiving tight end. I
Well,
agree with that.
the question is, how do you plan on using Nick Boyle this year? Do you plan on using Nick Boyle more in that setup that you were using?
Nick Boyle is block first.
I think he is block first, but you got to make sure he's coming back from that injury and he can fully block first.
Agreed.
Right? So there's a question mark with what you're doing with him. How are you going to utilize him? Because that opens up who are you going with.
Right.
I do have to say, I think we haven't been hearing a whole lot. I don't know that Ben Mason has a spot on this team.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I don't. He's going to have to really prove something to make the 53.
Which is why I think it's between Poljan and Oliver. And let's not forget, there's 2 other tight ends in Eli Wolf and Eric Tomlinson that are veteran guys that have been around the league.
Yeah.
That we were using as backups last year and special teams guys. Are you going to cut one of them to get one of these guys? Because that's what you're going to have to do.
Right.
So then it comes down to the special teams piece, which is where I'm like,
I gotcha.
We'll
All right.
see.
For me, he's the guy I've been talking about all night. I'm looking forward to watching Westry. I want to see this guy continue to develop. I want to see what it looks like in a game. Listen, we are loaded at defensive back. And every year we think we're loaded at defensive back. But we're that one injury away from one of those top 2 or 3 guys from being like, oh, shit. What happens, right? And Westry, I'm not saying he could step in and be a starter replacement or anything, but I really think that he's a developmental guy that long-term could have a big impact on this roster. So I'm excited for Westry to see what he does. That is my take on it. What are we laughing at?
James.
James is in the room. He doesn't even have the balls to say it to my face. He puts
God,
it in the
could
chat
all the
room.
tight ends fit on your deck is the real question.
No, they're too big. Ben Mason just ruins it all.
And the answer to that is no, they cannot. All right, Ryan, it's time for a social media shout out. Who's been out in the chat room? Who shouted up?
All right. Well, I have Jacob Paul with the quality first He was the
Jacob
first
Paul, I
comment
like
out
it.
there. Paul brothers are showing it hard. Steph Hemling, Dominic Henson, Steph Summers, Abby Hansen, Nick Short, Mr. Chandler. Well, again, appearance from bartender Brian Blake. Very honored to have you in the show.
BBB.
Troy H. Samuel L. Jackson says Prochet has super glue hands. We can't
does.
disagree
He's been
with that
catching
one.
everything his way too.
He's
Yeah.
had great hands coming out of college.
Garnett West has been on fire all day. I couldn't pick a
I
comment
love
for
Garnett.
his.
Hey, love you, Garnett. I miss you, man. It's been a while since we talked.
Not only did Garnett put it out on Twitter about me with his Ely thing and give us some heat during the week, but he's been on fire in the chat room.
That's awesome.
Alex Duvall, Kamal Porter, Travis Whitfield, Justin Marshall, and Joe Shipley. Joe Shipley wants to see in the preseason game the ball be snapped correctly to Lamar, which is what pretty much everybody wants to see.
That is a great observation and a great thing to be looking
And
at.
considering they were saying there were issues in practice.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to talk about like Lamar with his passing accuracy. How much more accurate could Lamar be if he could trust where the ball was going and watch the receivers and DBs before the ball's in his hands?
Yeah.
Because right now he has to like completely stare at the center and be like, huh, 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 huh. But like you see some of these quarterbacks in the NFL, like Aaron Rodgers comes to mind, where that ball is coming right to his right hip every time, and he's already scanning the field and he's catching it like blindfolded and hitting his wide receivers in stride.
Right.
If we could get that center under control, I think it could help a lot of things.
Travis says Travis Taylor had good hands as well.
Yeah.
We all know how that worked
Yeah.
out.
The other thing that I would say with that, Ryan, too, is for Lamar, and we're not going to see it until really week one. How do these guys translate under the lights? That's one of the things we saw last year with some of the struggles in the big primetime matchups.
Yeah.
How do they do in week one? They're getting thrown the test right at them from the get-go.
So I want to answer Garnett's question here. Garnett says, I'm surprised that Ryan didn't say Ely. I clearly want to see Ely. The reason I talked about Hill is because we keep talking about these borderline players. And if I'm thinking about a player that might not be making the squad that was there last year in order to make room for some of these other players, that's what I was looking at. And obviously, being RB3, you're going to see a lot of Justice Hill.
Yeah.
So there's going to be plenty of time. You will probably see a lot of Ely too, but there are some more moving parts in there. And who knows, he could switch sides. Running back's the only place that Hill's playing. So if you can't get it done against the scrubs of the other teams, you can show up and you can see yourself out.
All right, Scott, it's time for some bros. Bows and O's.
Well, there's a lot to go off of here, but let's just get the one thing that I know you're itching to get out of the way. How's Cedric Donahue doing?
Wow, we're hopping right into Cedric?
We're hopping right into that. Why not? Let's get it out of the way. Let's just get it out of the way.
Well, all right then. I mean, he hit his 20th home run. He stole his 21st base, right?
He's in that 2020 club picture.
So he's
above
in
you.
that 2020 club. Credit to Ryan here with the
That was pretty
creativity
good.
to the
That was
photo.
pretty good.
If you get it, if you know, you know.
I will just say that
so ridiculous.
last week with the cash, this week with the 2020, Ryan, I used to do these. Now Ryan is replaced.
Well, you know, it's
That
the
is what
Orioles
it is.
segment, so I got to make it fun for me.
But no,
Jesus
to
Christ.
put this kind of a feat, I know 20 and 20 home runs in itself doesn't sound like a huge accomplishment. 20 stolen bases in itself doesn't sound like a huge accomplishment. But you put those two together, there's only been 7 Orioles all time that have ever done it in its existence, right? And Paul Blair did it in 69, Don Baylor did it in 75, Reggie Jackson did it in 76, Brady did it 3 times, 92, 96, 99, Machado in 15, and the last one to do it was Villar in 19. 7 Orioles all time, 9th time it's happened overall. It's an amazing feat because, again, you got to look at the totality of this, right? These are guys with 20 stolen bases typically have speed. Speed guys you don't think as big guys. You don't think of guys that are going to hit a ton of home runs. So to be able to have that combination of speed and power, I'm not saying he's a 5-tool guy because he lacks the arm strength, right? But he's damn close. He's like 4 3/4 at this point.
I'll give him
My
4.
son's doing all right.
He's 4.5. We'll give him 4.5.
Damn it. All right. Rob me of that quarter of a point.
Your daddy instincts are a little off, okay?
Yeah.
All right, it's 4.5. But no, he has done good, and it's been great to see. His line has been really good this year.
Go ahead and
overall.
tell them what this line is because I got a good question for you.
Christ. All right,
I
here
got
we
a
go.
real good question for you after this.
As of Sunday, it's batting 322, 383, 554, and a 938 OPS. 20 home runs, 40 RBIs.
Say it again. Say it again.
40. It's a little low.
Pretty good.
He's
pretty
a
good for an
leadoff hitter.
RBI for a leadoff.
For a leadoff hitter, 40 is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, fair enough. 21 stolen bases.
Preach it.
Here's the number that I like. As a leadoff hitter, 38 walks.
Yep. Working the count.
Patient at bats.
Very patient. He works the count. So everything that you read off of that list is beautiful. Literally beautiful. And he's played great defensive baseball.
Okay.
Right? If he is on any other team outside of the Orioles and the Diamondbacks, because the Diamondbacks are god-awful. If he is on a team that has any aspirations of being a playoff team, is he not in the MVP conversation?
He's a little on the outskirts.
Really? With those stats, the totality of everything that he's doing this year.
Who do you think's in the running for MVP this year?
Man, if we're talking, I guess Ohtani is up there. Tatis is up there. Vladimir Guerrero is up there. But Vladimir Guerrero is on a team that I don't know where they sit right now in the standings.
They're close to 500, I think.
Okay. So those are probably my three guys.
Okay, so you think he's anywhere close to any of those three guys?
Totality, yes.
Take your orange sunglasses off.
I'm serious. I think right now, Vlad is one. Vlad is number one in the MVP race, in my opinion.
Really?
If I voted over. So Ohtani, because he's the rarity to it, right? He's a 1B for me because of the combination of both sides. That's hard to compete with, and he's doing
we
so
haven't
good
seen
at
that
both
in
sides.
years. That's
You're
why
right.
I think he's
You're right.
1A.
So I think he'll win the popularity vote on that just based on it's. You never fucking see this, right? As the
There's
guy that's
one guy that
dominating.
we've seen this in the history of baseball with.
Right.
One guy.
Right.
And that guy is arguably, in some people's minds,
He's been dead for a long time.
He's been dead for a long time, and he's arguably one of the greatest baseball players still to
Right.
this day in many people's eyes.
Right.
Because of
The
that.
big Bambino.
Who's that?
The Sultan of SWAT.
Salt and the SWAT.
The Colossus the Cloud.
No, you're right. Listen, I just think that he would be in that conversation. I'm not saying he's going to win the MVP award. I think he deserves recognition in that top 3 to top 5 consideration for MVP.
Okay, if you're top 5, I'll call him Bubble 5.
Drew is
I'll call him
brewing.
Bubble 5. You know, as
Drew
far
is
as that
stewing
goes.
over there. What do you got, Drew?
I'm still in.
Do you agree?
Oh no, I agree. It's going to be hard because what's the last true leadoff hitter that won an MVP?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you think of it nowadays, and it
That's
goes,
why this
What,
2020
Ricky
feat
Henderson?
is so impressive. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. But I get to my point being, you've gotten it so it's either home run or bust, and massive runs driven in or bust, or pitching, like a stellar pitching. You know, that's kind of like been the name of the game. That's how it is anymore. So
Right.
if you're not this big guy is hitting 45 home runs, you're already going to get frowned upon. I completely agree with you. To be a guy like that, the only thing doing exactly that on a team that's nowhere near the playoff picture, yeah, that's obviously going to
But
hurt.
Ohtani is doing what he's doing on a team that's nowhere near the
But
playoff picture.
but he's hitting like 38 home runs.
Right.
That's my point. That's
get
where,
it.
Yeah, there's when you hit 30 home runs, there's those stages.
I think him and Vlad are on another tier right now.
Yeah.
Ohtani, you're
Yeah.
probably right, is above him, especially popularity-wise. But I still think Cedric should be in that top 5 consideration.
Yeah, I get where you're saying. I think he's a bubble 5. I think he's a bubble 5 guy. I think there's argument to be made both ways, right? I think there's a lot.
I got my boys back.
But to your point, I think there is some validity to what you're saying. If he's on a winning team, how much more is he in the conversation? Because if he's on a winning team, how much more is are his runs being driven in?
Right.
How many? That'd be an interesting stat to find out. How many times has Cedric Mullins been left on base?
Fred got
Right.
confused by my American Best picture. He thought that Mullins was America's best.
I like it. I like it. But no, look, Mullins has been doing great. Overall, a lot of things to happen this week. I wanted to get Mullins out of the way because I felt like
Yeah,
it
you
was going
throw
to be
me off, man. I was like, I'm saving that for last.
it was going to be. I knew it was going to be a big conversation, so I wanted to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But so some kind of luckily not super sad news.
It was a little bit of a scare.
But it's a sad news scare this past week with Brooksy.
Yeah,
Go
thoughts and well wishes with Brooks Robinson and family as he took a fall last week, apparently breaking his arm.
Yeah.
Brooks at 84 years old right now. I mean, last time I saw him, he looked like he was, in good health and good spirits and everything. So just wanted to put that
Guy
out
will
there.
never be not in good spirits.
Yeah, no, he's just a good dude. Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, thoughts and well wishes for speedy recovery for Brooks. Hope all is going good there.
And great situation on Saturday. Saturday, right? We talk about some of the good that's going on. You talk about Cedric, but the Orioles this past weekend celebrated their Hall of Fame induction.
That game didn't end well.
That game didn't end well. That whole weekend didn't end well. Let's put it that way.
Yikes.
The Hall of Fame game on Saturday, J.J. Hardy.
Whoa! You can't say his name like that. What is that?
J.J. Hardy.
There it is. J.J. Hardy. Like you're just going to skip
and then
over
they
his
fired
name
the
like
guy.
that.
And then they fired the guy.
Then we got this guy.
Doesn't sound like a.
Mo.
Good old Mo.
James,
Good
shut up real
Mo.
quick. He's like, I'm not going to talk over Mo.
No.
Got that real quick.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jeremy Kahn, by the way.
That was a great speech.
Great introduction for Mo to that. Putting the jersey out there. It was just. I honestly. So I was just to share a quick story. We were actually at Emerton Snowball Stand.
Yeah.
I
Best
told my
snowballs
wife.
in the world, by the
Oh
way.
yeah, they are amazing.
They're amazing.
We got there as Jason. They announced that Jeremy was going to be doing it, and I was like, Carrie, if you want to get out, and go ahead. I have to listen to this.
Right.
I have to. And credit to her and Wyatt for sitting in the car and listening to it. Like, I truly started welling up.
Yeah. How can you not, man?
Great speech by him. Great overall presentation, for Mo, and he's the second fan to be inducted. And it's one of those things that it's just the storyline and him sharing the story and I had us all laughing right at the beginning, and it made you think back. I think back to listening to the show, listening to Scott and Jeremy, and when they did bring Mo. I remember when Mo first called.
I remember too.
At first, everybody was like, "Who's this kid?" And then you heard the story, and you're like, "This kid, this kid."
He was all over the place too. I can
Yeah.
remember listening to 106.5, and he was on 106.5, 98 Rock. He was on 98 Rock.
He would call in to Damon Amanda Lara's show.
Yeah.
And that's why he was at the game on Saturday, because he
gotcha.
formed a connection. He's a
Right.
national
Yeah.
guy. He formed a connection with the kid.
Right.
I was like, I got to be there for this.
Yeah.
And
And
a
then-
special moment, man.
And then you had Joe Angel getting inducted on the broadcast side, who then turned around and inducted JJ.
Wave that baby bye-bye.
Right, all of his broadcasting innuendos, everything that he was saying, and then he inducts JJ, which was cool. And then the other guy, which I grew up watching.
Oh, it's
I
one of
grew
my
up
favorite
with
players.
him in left field. Good old Devo,
Yeah.
Mike Devereaux, man.
Yep. One of my favorite players.
I loved him. Great to see all of these guys get in. And
This is a good class. A really good class.
Yeah, it was. And everybody in that class, sometimes you wonder, like, okay, are they just bringing him in because they were a longtime Oriole?
Right.
This one, they were here because they truly deserve it.
I got to go to Ryan. He's over there laughing like a schoolgirl. What's happening?
My favorite Big Bad Morning Show of the year was the day after this with Jeremy Kahn. Apparently, Jeremy Kahn was confused by the word luncheon on this
Yes, he was.
I didn't hear this.
the Orioles Hall of
I know
Fame
what he's talking
luncheon.
about, yeah.
And he shows up in his normal khaki shorts and a Mo
Mo
t-shirt.
Mo's t-shirt.
And starts watching people come in like suits and and one after another. Everybody's dressed to the nines. So it's nothing but the other two on the Big Bad Morning Show giving him trash like, yeah, but you heard the words Hall of Fame, right? Like, that kind of overrules luncheon. It's like, it's the Orioles. You think you're going to wear khaki shorts? Like, it's like, this is a prestige thing, Jeremy.
you could at least
And
wear
Jeremy
khaki
was
pants.
so, like,
But that's
you know
Jeremy,
Jeremy
man.
from as a kid.
Jeremy looks like a guy I rode by sitting on the side of the road getting here. Like, and that's just Jeremy.
But Jeremy, that's the thing about him is Jeremy. While he may look like that, he's
a great dude, man. I've known Jeremy a long
here,
time.
He was
He's a
here
great
in
guy.
studio. Great guy talking with all of us. We got to
James
get him.
knows him for a long
love
time.
that story. It was so
We
funny.
got to get him
That's
back
hilarious.
in now that Mo's in there. Get to talk. Helped us out with the Mo Gabba bobbleheads. But great to see this
So
weekend.
the other thing that I saw that was kind of exciting this weekend, I had no idea this was coming. It kind of came out of nowhere. Was this new home run belt? Did you guys see this?
I did. I liked it.
I figured Drew was probably
pretty
all
cool.
over this, being a wrestling
you
fan.
turned me on to it. I didn't see it until you were.
How awesome is that
it's
too?
pretty
Like
cool.
the way they've got to take advantage of this opportunity to market this, make a cheap version that they can sell in the merchandise stores because fans would buy this like hotcakes.
hell
I'm
yeah.
telling you, with the logo on it and everything, it's a huge marketing opportunity, I think, for them.
Yeah, I think they
pretty
could
cool.
really run with it. It was pretty cool, and to see both of them, get it in the debut. it
Mullins
was
kicked
funny.
the first fucking pitch of the game out the yard.
Gone.
Bam, on his
And
shoulder.
it was low and in too, and he
Proud
just
dad
golfed
moment.
it. Gone.
You know he was talking before the game. He's like, I'm sending this first one out and taking that belt before any of you touch
right.
it.
That's right.
Exactly.
Exactly. I thought that was pretty cool.
The other guy that I wanted to talk about, at first in his first 2 at-bats, I was questioning it because he swung at some bad pitches. Like, they were Adam Jones swinging at a curveball bad.
Yeah.
Jorge Mateo.
Yep.
This is a guy that we picked up, right? He really never made MLB. He was a former...
Well, he did with the Padres, but he was mainly a bench guy.
Right, he was a bench guy. He never really, he was never a starter. He was never a guy that you would expect to make an impact. Former top 100 prospect for the Yankees. Really never made it with the Yankees
or
Athletics and was on the bench for the Padres. Got released, and the Orioles claimed him on waivers. Did you see this mofo's speed? Friday night.
How could you miss it?
I was there.
Blinked. That's how you missed it.
He had his first 2 swings, and his first 2 at-bats were horrible. His third at-bat, dude hits a bases-clearing triple.
Yeah.
And if he's not trotting out of the box, dude's challenging for an inside-the-park home run.
He could have. I mean, listen, I've seen some guys motor across the bases. Billy Hamilton's another guy played out in Cincinnati. I forget where he's at now. I think Chicago.
Yeah, because it's all
Billy
you could
Hamilton-
do.
Right, that is all he could do.
He's still in the league. I can't remember.
I think he's with the White
No,
Sox.
he's in the American League. I think he's in the American League. He's with the White Sox.
I think now, but
he didn't do anything but run.
he's got
literally.
I think Mateo though has that kind
Yeah,
of
he has
speed.
that kind of speed, yeah.
He does, man. And there's a difference. Cedric Mullins is fast, right? Cedric Mullins is fast.
Jorge Mateo makes
Mateo
look
is
slow.
game-changing speed.
Deion Sanders.
You are not going to throw this guy out stealing unless he fucks up. He gets a terrible jump. He trips over his feet. I don't care. You throw the ball out. You have your catcher standing and waiting to receive the ball. You're not going to throw this guy out.
This is a guy that could. I fully anticipate him to beat out a few infield singles this year.
Right.
The way he comes, if he comes out of the box strong.
Jonathan, thank you. I thought he was with the White Sox.
But yeah, that's one of those things that he has game change. He has the ability that you need a man on base. He can get there even when the ball's hitting the infield.
Right.
That's game changing speed. When a guy can beat out a routine ground ball. Whew.
This waiver claim though kind of reminded me. Do you remember when we got Felix PA?
You mean Pie?
Pie. Felix PA from the Cubs, I think is where we got him from.
You mean the guy that hit for the cycle one?
Yeah, that dude. That guy. It had similar vibes to that, right? It had some. Now, Elias has made some good waiver claims in the past. I mean, he ended up getting Hanser Alberto. Obviously, he's not with the team, but he had a good cup of coffee while he was
claims,
here.
yeah.
Right? He's had a couple of good claims, but this had that kind of Felix PA vibe to it. And I really think if Mateo, again, like you said, he was a top 100 prospect for a reason at one point. It could just be a change of scenery type thing.
Yeah.
He was behind other guys in San Diego. He was never going to be the guy, but he could be a guy here in the future if he could get this figured out, because I'm telling you, that kind of speed you cannot teach.
Well,
No,
6 teams that already had him, they've figured it out and let him go. So.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
And that speed is all great, but you got to get on base to have the speed on there.
Somebody
We'll
pissed
see.
in James's cornflakes thing.
Yeah.
He's been negative on
Debbie
everything.
Downer with everything.
But
I'm not
we also
painting a
did-
picture of him being the next best thing. I'm just saying he could be a guy.
He can be an impact type player.
Right.
Cedric Mullins flatlined
Look,
at one point.
Yes.
Cedric Mullins was sent down just
flatlined at
last
one
year.
point. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but this
Like,
guy's been
it
around
to
for a
me, feed it
while.
to me.
I just want to feed that ego a little bit.
If he didn't make it with the A's, he's not going to make it with the Orioles.
look, James. Dad already apologized for abandoning us. He's back now. We have to let it go.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Listen, I was excited with the addition, so there's not a lot that you can hang your hat on with the big league club right now. So
say
you
the
gotta
offense
find
about it.
you gotta find the silver linings where you can, and this was a silver lining. But
The silver linings are in the offense.
well, that's true.
The pitching has just been freaking horrible.
Get through it quickly. 'Cause it's terrible.
I know. Alex
we don't need
Wells.
to dwell.
He's getting destroyed by the bullpen. These stopgap guys are hard to watch. This weekend, first of all, I called the green home run. I got a guy that was, I don't know who the hell he was, but I was sitting there talking to him. I gave him a card. Hopefully you're watching the show, dude, because I called Cruz's home run off Green. I said Green throws 93, 94, 95. Cruz is gonna if he elevates one, Cruz is gonna hit it out.
You know what that
Gone.
home run was? It was the best thing that ever happened to Green in his career. Why? Because now he's with the Dodgers.
What the shit was that?
Yeah. He gets released and waiver claimed by the Dodgers.
Yeah, true
He
enough.
goes from worst in the league to World Series contender.
Yeah. But the big thing that was this weekend, between Friday and Sunday, because it's when these two guys pitched. Why? And I know that this is gonna really get Drew going. Paul Fry and Dylan Tate between Friday and Sunday, in a total of 1 1/3 inning pitched between the two of them over 2 days. 11 runs.
This is why you had to take advantage of getting rid of Fry when the value was as high as it could be. Trade him. He was potent. There were multiple teams supposedly interested in Paul Fry.
Should've gotten rid of him.
because his value had never been higher. Why do we not trade him?
I don't know.
Because now he's giving up 11 runs.
He had a few good. Situational spots that he was doing well in. But when you leave him in there for more than 2 batters, he struggles, and this proves it. And Dylan Tate, he looked good last year, but this year, man, he is struggling, and he is right behind Paul Fry.
Cutting the negativity off there. Cutting it off. Let's go to the minor leagues, right? Because there's some big news. Some big news down on the farm.
Wait, where does this kid play? What position does he play? Couch? What couch producer?
I think he's a catcher.
Here's another one.
okay.
He plays first base.
The running joke that will never go away. Here we go. Finally happened. Everybody's been talking about Adley Rutschman. When's he going to get the call up to AAA? He's there. He's playing tonight. He's, I think, hitting second in the lineup tonight in Norfolk.
Second in the lineup.
Yeah.
Behind Robert Newstrom.
Yeah, that's right. And hitting in front of Jemai Jones that everybody wants up here for whatever reason. But anyway, Adley Rutschman's in AAA.
Wait, we're just going to skim over the fact that you just like
Jemai Jones sucks.
He has not been playing very well lately. So
he came off an injury.
He's hitting like 240. Just let it
He
be.
didn't get cut from the A's, though.
Oh, man. All right, so it's exciting. Adley Rutschman takes the next step. We talked about this pre-show, and I wanted to kind of get specifically Drew and James' take on this. Could care less what Ryan thinks. But anyway, what happens if we have a big month? Adley puts up a huge month in August. September call-ups are coming up. Do you think Adley Rutschman has a shot at getting called up this year if he has a big month in August?
I don't think so.
Okay, why?
I think
It doesn't in September call-ups doesn't start his clock.
I know it does. Okay, so in that case, yeah, probably.
Okay.
I say it doesn't happen because I say there could be they would want him to stick down there with some of the pitchers that don't get called up in September.
Okay.
To be with those guys because I think that's the point. But I do think in no matter what happens, barring like bad stuff, I think he's the opening day catcher next year. Opening day.
Day one?
Day one.
Whoa.
Wow,
I've
that's
said it before.
That's a big
statement.
That's a big
I've said it
statement.
before. I think he's the opening day catcher next year.
I think he gets called up
What's to
next
stop
year.
it? No. What's to stop him from opening day?
Even for me, even if he has a big month this year in August and then starts spring training and has a huge spring training, I still don't think that he's a day one starter. That's just my opinion. Why did you run in front of the camera?
Because it wasn't on you. I jumped in front of it. This asshole over here.
Yeah, remember that time I tried to take a piss one time?
Trigger
Everyone
fingers.
put the camera on me.
Trigger fingers, I got him.
So I was online today when the news broke about Adley, and Paul Frischner of the Bowie Bay Sox, he's the play-by-play guy. He put out a series of tweets with some really interesting stats about Adley, and I wanted to read these off to you because I didn't realize what these splits were, but these splits are pretty interesting. As a catcher, he had 228 plate appearances. He's only hitting 244, 352 OBP, 824 OPS, 11 home runs, 31 RBIs, 41 Ks. But as a first baseman in DH, he had 130 plate appearances. He's batting 324. So he went from 244 to 324, almost 100 points improvement in average. 1.036 OPS, 7 home runs, 24 RBIs, 26 Ks. Ks about the same pace. But an immense difference in average.
Sounds like he doesn't want to be a catcher.
So, I mean, do you think
I don't know if he wants to bat switch hitter anymore either.
Do you think there is something there? I mean, this is listen. This is the first full pro season that he's had, right?
Yeah.
Last year they didn't have the pro season because of the COVID situation and all that stuff. Maybe there is some fatigue that's affecting him when he's catching right now. I'm not saying that this is going to be the end all be all with him and he's going to be a first baseman or DH. I will never die on that hill, but I think that he will. I thought it was an interesting stat. I didn't think that there was that glaring of a difference, but you're talking 100 points difference in batting average. That's huge.
So there is, and I agree with that. My biggest piece, which is the X factor here, is what you and I as catchers know. Oh, these guys don't.
I didn't
He
say
just
it.
wanted to put that
I
shit
didn't
in. It
say
didn't
it.
matter.
This is his third catcher reference of the show. I have not had one.
But no, look. If he's hitting 244 in the big leagues and he's catching, I'll take it over the first base DH situation
So
of him hitting 100 points
So
better.
you're okay with Matt Wieters 2.0? Because that's essentially what he would be.
Because he can call a game and we need that more than anything
Okay.
else right now.
That's
We
fair.
all know Carey is.
Yeah, right.
That's fair. I just was very intrigued
It's
and caught
surprising.
off guard when I saw that.
But-
here, go ahead.
But it's also
But-
double the plate appearances.
Dang, yeah, you're also talking about like it's up here to down here. It's 100 plus 100 bats.
100, it's
100
almost-
plate
it's-
difference,
It's
or plate
90. It's
appearances.
98.
That's
98 plate
100.
plate
Let's just
appearances
round it up.
difference.
It's
Exactly.
100. If he stopped playing catcher and the next 100 plate appearances he was at first, his average could go down.
I understand that,
Right.
but the stats still tell a story. It's
Yeah.
not. You're not talking 228 plate appearances versus 10. You're talking still 130 plate appearances. That's enough to have a stat and have a track record.
I
there.
think with something
So-
like that, there's so many other X factors with that too. Is like, okay, are a lot of these hits coming later in the game or are they
get
coming
it.
earlier in the game?
I understand there's a lot of factors.
Left-handed versus
there should
right-handed,
be
yeah.
there should be some discrepancy and there should be nobody is that consistent. But again, 100 points is a little alarming. Now here's another point. Tagging on to my son here, right? Because
By the way, 100 points, just to do the math real quick for you. 100 points if he has 20 plate appearances that go badly over that 100, he's in the same exact spot.
but that 100 points is a nobody to an all-star.
He just needs a couple.
You're talking
dying
about a
quails.
240
Oh,
hitter
but what I'm
to
talking
a
about-
320
What I'm
hitter.
talking about is you're making the assumption the 100 plate appearances he continues to hit well. 20 at bats that he fails.
I understand that. I get that. I'm just saying it's enough
a
to see
catcher.
a sample size. That's
Trade
all I'm
him
saying.
now.
Here's the other stat that I thought was interesting. And don't pay attention to plate appearances because we've already beaten that fucking horse. Jesus Christ. But Cedric Mullins, all of you, most of you, 9/10 of you, were ready to give up on, right? He was a switch hitter. They took away his ability to hit right-handed and made him purely a left-handed hitter, or he did it on his own, whatever happened there. He is now a left-handed hitter. Listen to these stats because Adley, obviously, again, is a switch-hitting catcher. As a left-handed hitter, 270 plate appearances, batting 240, 359 OBP, 790 OPS, 7 doubles, 12 home runs, 37 RBIs, 40 walks, and 45 strikeouts. As a right-handed hitter, again, only 88 plate appearances, but he's hitting 371. 240, 371. That's a 130-point difference there. 9 doubles, 6 home runs, 18 RBIs, 15 walks, 12 strikeouts. 1.251 OPS. Again, very large. I didn't realize
So you like him better right-handed? Is that what you're saying?
so far, just what we've seen in this small sample size, it's a glaring difference. For me, the benefit of being a switch hitter isn't a benefit if you're that much better from one side of the plate than you are the other. I just don't.
I have never been a fan of switch hitting.
I agree.
I'm always lukewarm on it.
I'm like,
If you are the rare breed that can say, hey, listen, I can be a 300 hitter right-handed and I can be a 280 hitter left-handed, there's a ton of benefit in
I was
that.
told-
But if there's that much of a difference, I just don't like it.
I can write left-handed, but my right is so much better. I'm not going to just be like, oh, I can write left-handed. I'm going to write left-handed. I think if you practice and you preach what you do, if you're a batter, bat one way and be good at it. The only thing that I think it's different if you can do left or right is basketball, because it doesn't take that much to shoot left or right. like a layup.
Yeah, being
and
able to
stuff.
switch.
So
I agree with
it's
that.
not a
That's
big deal. But baseball, if you focus on being a right-handed batter, you can be the best right-handed batter than instead of going, I'm going left and right, left and right.
I'm gonna make make the argument that the best hitter of all time was a switch hitter in Pete Rose.
Okay, one out of how many baseball
But
players
you're talking
out there?
about the
One out-
best. That's
so
what I'm
many-
saying. That's that rare breed.
No, and I understand that.
But it's not like there's 30,000 switch hitters.
That's
You have all these awesome.
But the difference between Pete Rose and
Some people
others,
force it.
and some other hitters, people force it. Pete Rose, he was in charge of which side he was hitting from the plate on. It wasn't called by a manager, you're batting left-handed, you're batting right-handed. It was, if he liked hitting against the guy out right-handed, he was hitting off him right-handed. If he liked hitting the guy out left-handed, he was hitting the left-handed. He went with situationally where he felt comfortable hitting against that
90%
pitcher.
of these switch hitters are not that great at both.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. But his numbers, if you throw, take that number that he just said.
Give me one switch hitter that had batting average of 300 for both sides.
I would say probably the closest would have been Harold Baines back in the day. That would be
Probably
the
the closest, yeah.
And he was Edgar Martinez a switch hitter?
No.
Edgar Martinez was a switch hitter.
I thought so. Both
Yeah.
those DHs were both really good hitters. Anyway, it's a very
that's all they
small
had to do.
class, and I'm pulling hitters from the '90s, right? So we're talking a long time ago. My point in just bringing this up, it's a very small sample size. Take it for what it's worth. It's just something to keep an eye on because, again, if we get to a point where I think, in my opinion, he's that much of a difference from the right-handed side than he is the left-handed side. Make the switch. Just stay right-handed.
Real quick, because
go ahead, Drew.
But okay, we keep talking about the average,
Right.
but we're glossing over the fact that that's 18 home runs.
I understand that.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand it. That's why I said it's a
but
small
it's still
sample
on base
size.
too. So with this world of analytics and especially with what the Elias and them are looking for, that batting average really is very minimal. Considering it's still a high average from one side than the other side.
But he's
This is the other
140
position.
points
But
better
look at-
on base percentage.
But
too.
what are two
But
other
it's still
stats that you
really
can,
good. It's not like he's jack shit at those other
Right,
stuff.
what are two
Like,
other
No, but that's a
stats that you
very
can-
large difference.
What are two other stats you can look at a guy for
Hold
a
on
hitter,
one
though?
second.
I think we're
ra-
making stuff up a little bit. I think we're.
I'm not making anything up. I'm just saying it was interesting
I didn't say you
stats.
created the stats.
Yeah, the
Don't mean
stats are what they are.
But I
I'm just
think
saying
we're
it's
making
interesting.
much ado about nothing.
And it could be.
And
It could be.
To Drew's point, my point with what I was trying to make, what are two other stats you can look at to determine how a general hitter success factor is? You could look at walks and strikeouts. How patient is that hitter? There's roughly a difference of about 3 times from the left-handed. He hits 3 times more left-handed than he does right-handed. So if you take those walks and those Ks, times them by 3, you're right in the same realm of 40 walks and 45 Ks.
I understand
that the hitter himself, as far as being a patient hitter, being all those, then it just comes down to contact. So at that point, it could go one way or the other.
Again, small
So,
sample size.
yeah.
This was just intriguing.
Real quick, because you guys are both catchers. This is nothing to be funny. I'm being serious. Maybe he should just focus on one side because not only are you a catcher, you have to deal with your pitchers. It's a lot of stress on the brain. If you would just focus on one batting just right, and then you can spend your time with your pitchers and yourself, I think it'll be a lot.
It's
pressure
too
taken
early
off.
to make that decision, but it's something to keep an eye on. I had never expected that if somebody broke these numbers down to see such a large discrepancy with him.
And here's the other thing.
But it's not. We're not ready to pull the plug on him hitting as a switch hitter. I'm just saying keep an eye on it.
Overall, he's had up and down moments. He could be in a downslope right now with the left-handed.
Yeah,
if he goes against a bunch of left-handed pitcher, or he goes against a bunch of guys and winds up hitting left-handed, he could all of a sudden be a 275 hitter.
I think you're
in a month.
taking what I'm bringing up here as the wrong. I'm not saying that we need to get rid of him as a switch hitter. It's just something to keep an eye on. Because right now, in the little bit of sample size that we have, there's a large discrepancy. Just keep an eye on it. Prove me wrong over the next month. Show me that you can hit from both sides of the plate, and let's just see what happens. We'll just reevaluate
I wouldn't
at
say
that
244 is him saying he can't hit from the left side of the plate.
Since
That's
he
all I'm
was-
saying.
He's struggling compared to the other side.
Since we went 10 minutes on this, I'll give you my 30-second take on it since you didn't care. So I think if you see Adley up this year, I don't see him as a catcher. I think they bring him up to only hit, and they say we're saving his knees, kind of a pitch count type thing. We don't want to wear and tear on the young player. I think that's the way they say it because, again, I don't know if they want to be in that position that Drew puts out there where we see he is clearly the best catcher on the roster and be stuck bringing him up the first week.
And I think you're spot on. There's not much that he can learn or benefit from catching at the major league level. Most of the pitchers that he's going to be catching at the major league level are down there, and he's already catching them now to begin with. The benefit is going to be it's hitting, getting the ability to hit against major league ready pitchers. So I agree with you 100%. If that happens this year, I think that is the mentality for it. Let's stick with Norfolk, right? A guy that I was real high on 2 years ago before COVID and everything shut down, Michael Ballman, right?
Yeah.
He had been dealing with some injury stuff, came back early, didn't look like he had the stuff that he once had. And I knew it was going to take some time for him to kind of get his wits about him and get back into shape. But so far, he looks like he's getting back to his old form. His last start, 6 innings pitch, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Only hit came with 2 outs in the 6th inning. His last inning of work. That was his only hit given up. So far, in his 2 starts at AAA, again, he's at the AAA level, 11 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 10 Ks. He looks like he might be back on track. Drew, do you like Michael Ballman?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think it was a lot of when he started his rehab stuff in Bowie, it was real like, oh crap.
Yep.
Like maybe the injury really zapped it from him. But then with being he progressed and he got to Norfolk, like you just said, all those stats, it seems like you're definitely trending up in the right direction. Yeah, it's still that prospect level, so anything can happen, of course.
Right.
But it's you're showing improvement. You're not muddling and you're not decreasing.
Right.
So showing that improvement, as long as you keep showing the improvement, I mean he's not Grayson, but you know what I mean? Like he's a guy that could make a factor before those guys could come around.
100% agree.
Talking about a guy that can, I was
Go ahead.
with Bauman, I think he's a guy that, yes, he could be up here sooner rather than later. I think he's a guy that's, because he's in Norfolk, and you brought him up there, when was that? Did you bring him up in June?
What?
Did he make the leap?
Ballman?
Yeah.
No,
Ballman,
he was still doing the rehab stuff in Bowie.
He just got called up 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay. So with him, he's an Adley guy. He could. I'm interested to see what happens in September.
We do need pitching, Alex. I agreed.
If both of these guys wind up doing well for a month, and this is something we didn't talk about with Adley, if both of these guys do well, is it worth bringing them up? Maybe not early September, but maybe late September to get a few. At that point in the minor leagues, they're done. Maybe you let them get a few starts in, a few at bats for Adley. Maybe get some relief in there for Bauman, or maybe he gets a spot start just to see how he does.
Right.
I think both these guys can do well, but kind of sticking down in the minors, there's one guy that could make some quick moves, and this is Drew. Drew's a guy that has been backing this guy because a lot of people were questioning Colton Cowser. He could be in Delmarva a little faster than people think.
Number 5 overall pick in this year's draft. He's down there in the Florida Coast League. Gulf Coast League, yeah.
Whatever it's called
honestly,
They just literally changed the first name letter.
Exactly. It's still the Coast League. I don't know if it's Florida Coast or Gulf Coast.
And the only reason that he's even there is because they don't have the short season Aberdeen anymore.
Yeah.
That's gone, right?
That probably
Aberdeen
would
is
be
now
where
high
he'd be
A.
at, yeah.
It's exactly where he would be at. So the only reason he's down there, but you can obviously tell he is playing way above the talent level that is down there right now. He's played in 5 games. 5 games so far. I'm going to read this real quick. 2 for 3 in his first game, home run, RBI. 2 for 2, walk, 2 RBI second game. 2 for 4, a double, 2 RBIs. 3 for 4, 2 doubles and RBI on Monday. 2 for 3 in RBI, 2 doubles, or 2 walks today. 11 for 16 in his first 5 games. He's batting .688. We talk about sample size. I know it's small.
Yeah.
But still, 11 for 16, a home run, 3 doubles, 7 RBIs, 5 first pro games. Hey, Ryan, that's good.
Oh, it is?
That's good. That's real good.
I think for me, when I look at those numbers, and I look at what you're saying, I like what I'm hearing. I think if you give him another week, if he's continuing on a tear like this, there's no reason not to move this kid to Delmarva. See what he's doing against the single low A guys. What does he need improvement on, so that next year he starts in low A, and then you wind up saying, hey, maybe by mid-year he's in Aberdeen.
Yeah, you know what I really like about this kid? Now, granted, the video clips that we get to see of the Florida Coast League are weird camera angles. Typically, they're cell phone shots from the family.
I might as well be down there with.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. So you just, you don't get to see a ton.
His home run came out because of his family.
Right. Exactly. So you don't get to see a ton. But the little bit that I've seen, what I really like about this kid's swing is he just goes with the fucking pitch. Wherever the ball is pitched, he is hitting the ball to that side. And he does. It seems like a Markakis type of approach. You know, Markakis was that kind of hitter coming up. What are you seeing out of Cowser other than obviously the immense talent?
If he came out and he was 2 for 16, you know what I mean? The negative fans would say, what do they waste a pick on? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
So to see this, it's not a fluke per se.
Right.
It's still cool to see. It isn't middling. It's like you're not facing like double-A pitching. Okay. But it'd be the flip side. If you're facing this lesser pitching and you look like crap, then it would be glaring. So you got to at least give him credit for that.
Right.
I saw him. A lot of what I read up on him after the draft was about this polished hitter and maybe the best college bat behind Henry Davis, the guy who went first overall.
Right.
And he's already the proof's in the pudding, at least for now.
100%.
So at least and seeing this means that unless they're just trying to take a slow play with it, he's going to play in Delmarva. If he's doing the same stuff in Delmarva, it's going to be just as good.
Steven Seaver says, "Fred, we need a Fred statue badly."
Well, we talked about this last week. We were thinking about giving you a statue while you're gone. We actually Ryan must have forgot about. We were going to bring in.
Well, Fred's back now, so when he
cut
disappears again, we'll have the Fred cut out for everyone that was missing you.
Drew will be permanently on the casting couch, apparently.
Fred,
I'll be a statue over here.
Yeah, Drew will just
appreciate the love, Steve, man. I appreciate it, man.
Drew will
It's
just
been a
have
while.
to voice for the Fred statue that will be in the big chair.
All right, Scott, it's time for the Liquor Stop Brew of the Week, which I have already drank mine. I wish there was another one. This was good.
He's got 2 over there, technically.
This was good. I'm an orange fan, so I kind of assumed I would like this. When I cracked it open, it smelled delicious. It's good stuff.
The first taste, it takes a second to get used to because the first taste is it's different.
You're right.
It's from Blue Earl Brewing, which is out of Smyrna, Delaware, so not far from here. Clockwork Orange Fresh Orange Juice Pale Ale.
Not an IPA, Joe.
Nope, it's not an IPA. It's a pale ale. And I did taste the citrus to this.
That's good.
I thought it was really good. I downed mine. I usually don't have mine down by the time we get through this. I mean, I've been on this one for a while. I've actually been waiting to break this other one open. But I don't know that. Do you have one of these over there?
Yeah, I do. I haven't opened it yet.
Okay. So the Clockwork Orange was definitely the brew of the week.
4.9, I think.
Yeah, 4.9% ABV. It's pretty good. Couch, any thoughts over there on that?
I didn't like that one that much.
You didn't like that
You
one?
didn't?
I didn't really like it.
Wow.
Get out.
Okay.
Get out.
Well,
No, Jerry.
You've lost your seat completely.
Apparently, I'm just relegated to infamy anyway. So
Can't get in a car crash.
Jesus Christ, get out of your feelings, Drew. Jesus.
So this other one that we got is one that I
this
picked
one
up.
was good.
I did try this last night.
Oh.
I knew his face was going to do it. I wanted it on air. I got it on air. I got it on air. It is very tart, but I
I took
love
a
it.
big drink of that because it's strawberry lemonade, and I assumed I would love that.
So this is from 2SP Brewing Company. We have had something from them before, but this one they partnered with Wawa on this. It's a strawberry lemonade shandy, 4%. It is very tart. So if you do not like tart things, I knew Fred
Tart's
wouldn't like
one
it.
word for it.
I knew Fred wouldn't like it, but I figured we'd give it a try. I like it. Drew, I'm glad you like it.
I liked it.
Real quick before we take us out.
Get out.
Because the last one you have to try is the one that you had before the show.
Oh.
That you got to tell everybody about.
Yeah,
They do have it Liquor Stop, which is good.
I am a fan of ciders. We'll just put it that way. I like a lot of different ciders. So Austin East Ciders has an array of different flavor ciders. So they're not just apple. They've got pineapple. They've got pear. Obviously, they have apple, blackberry. But we had their watermelon cider.
I actually had it at a local.
There for a second. It's there we go. I don't know if you can be able to see it.
It's got green.
It's
green.
There's that beautiful
Give it to
green.
me. I'll give it to Ryan.
Yeah, we didn't share.
No, that is really good. And listen, I am not a big watermelon flavor fan.
I'll get you guys one after the show. There's extras
I'm
upstairs.
just dying at all this because like he frowns at like fruits and sours, but then ciders, hell yeah.
I love ciders. There's a difference between tart and sweet.
I guess.
I love sweet.
Yeah.
And that watermelon cider, like I said, I'm not a fan of watermelon flavored things. Watermelon flavored fucking Jolly Ranchers are awful. And if you like them, you're the devil.
Well,
but the rest,
Drew,
I love watermelon, but I don't like watermelon flavored things. That is good.
It's good. It's
super good.
It's refreshing. And all the ciders from Austin, which you can get from Liquor Stop, are really good. So make sure you head up to Liquor Stop, 1510 Conowingo Road in Bel Air. Tell them Birdland BS sent you. Get your 10% off.
All right, I got to interrupt with some breaking news before we get to the rundown. First of all,
We need a ticker.
first step breaking news is fun fact. My wife is scared of watermelon. She'll hate me for saying that out loud, but she doesn't like other people eating watermelon near her. So I call that scared of watermelon.
I was about to say, you're going to have to explain scared of
has a
watermelon.
melanophobia.
She doesn't like it so much she doesn't want me to buy and eat it.
Wow.
But the breaking news, we got Adley update down the farm. He was catching a combined no-hitter into the 8th before it was broken up on a single and has 2 hits today, including a double.
Yes,
in the game's
sir.
over.
Let's go, Adley. I like it.
There we go.
Back to the rundown.
stick to first base.
All right. I'll start us off in this week's rundown. We're going to make this true rundown.
Yeah.
Keep it minimal. The boss's daughter is now an Olympic medalist. And I'm not talking about my boss. I'm talking about the boss.
Oh,
I'm
Christ.
talking
I
about
thought
this
you
guy
went
right-
on like a porn site and was searching shit. The boss's daughter. What are we talking about
I
here?
even put
We
it
talked
right in the
about
right spot.
keeping things
I mean,
clean,
hey, listen.
and you come back
Hey,
and Dad's
there's-
got the worst
we were
perverted
saying
mind of
that
all.
a lot
Oh,
tonight,
listen,
so-
you can dance in the gray, just stay in the gray. Don't go on the black.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
no
saying?
attractive midgets.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, Bruce
I'll leave
Springsteen's
that
daughter,
alone.
Jessica Springsteen, won a silver medal with the equestrian team in the U.S. They actually went down to a jump off. I didn't look to see what the hell a jump off is, but apparently they did it and they beat Sweden over it. But she's the daughter of Bruce Springsteen, Patty Scalfa Springsteen. Cool story. You know, everybody refers to him kind of as an American dream, right? He's been labeled that at times in The Boss. So cool story that he raises a gold medalist. I know it's equestrian, it's not crazy, but just a cool story for the Olympics as it is.
Interesting fact, I'm not a Bruce Springsteen fan. Don't like it.
Hey,
Don't like his music.
remember how you told
Just
Drew
saying.
to get out? You can get the fuck out of my house.
Hey, man.
Not a
I'm with
Springsteen
you.
guy.
Since we're all going to
Not a Springsteen, not a Journey guy. Yeah, like, not a fan. All right, so I'm going to go a little somber here with my story this week. We're going to talk a little bit about the passing of a college football legend. Earmuffs, Ryan, because I know you're not a big fan of this guy, or at least that university. But Bobby Bowden passed away Sunday at the age of 91. Been battling pancreatic cancer, apparently, after also dealing with a very tough fight with COVID earlier in 2020. Longtime Florida State football coach. He actually ranked second all-time in Division I wins with 377. He coached that university into what you, I guess, could consider a dynasty, if you can consider a college football team a dynasty. What you would equate Alabama
Yeah.
now, right? Basically,
Dynasty-esque.
the Seminoles were back then in the late 80s and most of the 90s. They won 2 national titles in 93 and 94, 14 straight seasons of 10 wins or more, 21 bowl wins, second all-time, only behind Joe Paterno. The guys that I remember from the coaching days, like the big guys that stand out for me, obviously you had Dion, you had Warwick Dunn, Peter Warwick, which I still think is one of the best college football players of all time, just never equated in the NFL. Derek Brooks, Peter Boulware for Ravens fans, right? Peter Boulware, Charlie Ward, the basketball and football guy. But one of the things that I don't think most fans probably know about Bobby, he was actually a quarterback at Alabama for a cup of coffee as a freshman. But before, he ended up deciding he wanted to get married to his high school sweetheart. But Alabama had rules in place that wouldn't allow for that. So he actually walked away from playing quarterback at Alabama for love. For love.
That's like a me story.
That is. It's almost like a you story. He ended up going to Howard.
I figured the couch and Ryan would like that.
After he got married, though, he ended up going to Howard, where he played quarterback and also baseball and ran track. So this guy was a great athlete beyond just being a coach. One of the most well-respected coaches for a university that gave Maryland fits for a long time in the ACC. Was one of our bigger rivals back then. But Bobby Bowden passed away at 91.
Sad news. Let's head over to James for this week's rundown.
Mine's the upcoming stars in the NBA is Luka signed his 5 years, $207 million contract to stay with the Mavs, and he was excited to get it. He destroyed in the Olympics. They didn't win, But they went all the way to Slovenia to Slovakia, wherever he's from, to sign his contract.
One of those S-word countries, where he's from.
Signs contract, but the best is the meme where they have Trae Young and Luka together. It says freshman year, and then they have Vince Carter and
yeah, that is a good one.
and Dirk.
Trae Young looks older than Vince Carter with that hairline.
But it
I'm
was
just saying,
funny.
time to let it go.
That's like the best meme. But so proud of you guys' contract. I love the kid, and he's up.
Mark Cuban's smart.
Yeah,
Those
Smart guy.
NBA guys are getting paid right now.
Yeah.
Drew.
All right, Drew, what you got?
All right, so on Thursday, the Field of Dreams game.
Cut him off over
They
there.
were supposed to have a
Jesus.
Field of Dreams game last year, but it was interrupted due to COVID. So it involves the Chicago White Sox and the New York Yankees. It's going to be the first Major League Baseball game that ever has been played in Iowa.
Yeah.
So they'll play the game on
It's
Thursday
heaven,
night.
not Iowa.
Yeah.
Yep.
They'll play that game on Thursday night, and then
I remember when Frank
Technically,
said he was
if
going
it
to
is
this
heaven,
game,
he
and
says,
I'm
no,
like,
this is
no,
Iowa.
not.
I want to go to that game so badly.
oh well, we'll get to that.
So
they'll play the game tomorrow night, and then Thursday night, and then they'll finish the series in Chicago. So Fred, good luck trying to go because the tickets for that Field of Dreams game, the most expensive regular season ticket on record, according to TickPick. The average price is $1,413.
That's the average price?
That's the average price. At 63
Oof.
cents.
Yeah, I'm not going to that game.
The get-in price, just to get in, is $1,316.
Yeah.
So the highest ticket on record so far is almost $4,000.
I want to
Which
go
will go up.
I want to
So-
go the classic Scott route and be like, you can't put a dollar value on, memories and things that you built with your father and all that, which, yes, I've got all those ties to my father in that movie and my family in that movie. But that's a lot of cake.
Let's watch it on TV
let me
and I'll
ask
hold your hand.
That's a lot of cake.
Let me I personally, if I was in a situation where my wife wouldn't kill me, I honestly would pay $1,500 for a ticket to that game because I don't know that they haven't talked about this being a regular thing. They said it would be great if it would, but they have to get the farm that owns it, everybody to agree to it. They're gonna want it. They've already limited the seating. It's
They
only
put
like
a lot of money
3,500
into
fans.
They put a lot of money
They
into
built
converting
the-
this.
No, they built a stadium next on the other side.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They built a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
it
money.
still only houses I think it's 3,500 or 4,000 fans. So that's why the tickets are at a premium.
Yeah.
And who knows if they're going to
thing.
continue to do
it's,
this.
It's a really cool thing. We'll move on. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
I do still want to go to the actual, they have a museum there,
We
and
need
I
to
want
go.
to see. I would do that. It doesn't have to be the game, but I still want to do that.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Maybe we'll have to work it into a Ryan trip to see
there we
Iowa.
go.
Sitting up.
Well, I was just sitting back here laughing because every time Drew talks, we steal it. I looked over and said, every time.
Cool. I had my 4 weeks.
Sorry, listen. It's my first week back. I'm excited.
No, he's mad at me. He's mad at me.
not saying anything. I'm not. He pointed it out. All I just said was
You're not denying it.
I nodded along. I'm cool.
Just a fly now.
Hey, go ahead, Ryan.
Maybe I should have taken my
Alright.
spot. No big deal.
Well, I know this isn't a Baltimore boy, so talking bad about him might not be the best move on Birdland BS, but Mr. Durant, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Let me get this quote right real quick. So, first of all, after they win the gold medal, you know what USA is supposed to do. That's like the standard. You are Alabama of basketball.
So-
if you win the national championship, you did your fucking job. You get to smile and high five, but you don't get to flaunt to anybody's face. That's what LSU does when they win it once a century. They smoke cigars and hand out money because it's different for them. You're supposed to do this, Durant. So before he talked all this trash about how you all look down on us, his original quote was more honest. So it was good to kind of get punched in the mouth early to remind us it's not going to be a cakewalk. So many people out there were used to Team USA blowing everybody out. It's good for us to see that, and now hopefully all those losses are behind us. Yeah, that's the problem is you never got back to that. We are used to Team USA blowing it out. We're used to what the women did and steamrolling the whole world to a basketball gold. That's the standard. So it's fine that you won gold. That's great. cool, but don't talk trash about it like you did something special. You blew out Iran. That's the only blowout on the whole schedule. You did what you were supposed to do.
You
You're the
beat
best
France by
players in the
5.
country. You're the only team that has more than 2 NBA players on it in the entire thing. You did what you were supposed to do. Thank you. Go home.
Yeah, you beat France by 5. We're going to get into this in the after hours.
I've got some comments on that too.
This is going to be a full team effort here in the after hours. But we can't not mention the Olympics real quick.
Fred looked completely disappointed in everything I just
he
said.
was. He was.
much.
Don't worry, we'll get to that. We talked about it pre-show. You and I are going against the room, I think. But no, it's as far as the medal count, U.S. today.
Oh, it's final. It's already over.
Yes, it was yesterday.
Over for a few days.
It's been over
Well,
2
it was-
days. Sunday.
2 days.
Sunday was
okay.
the final thing.
So the final count, it came down to the wire because for a while, up until Sunday, the U.S. did not hold the top gold count.
Gold,
The top gold count actually came from China, but the total 113. Next closest was China at 88 in total medal count.
Hey, thank God for that Team USA basketball goal.
Hey,
put us over the hump.
The women
won.
did it. The women won afterwards.
The women won afterwards.
They
yes.
didn't accomplish anything special though, Drew. So don't worry about it.
They
Wasn't
just
anything
blew
special.
out the entire world in basketball, whereas the men barely beat them by 5. We'll get to that later. God, I could digress. Anyway, wrong button.
So even he was confused. He's like,
I do think the medal counts are a little fictitious. Oh.
No boundaries. 2 topics. 30 seconds each. It's time for the 2-minute warning.
no gang signs? I go away for a couple of weeks and we lost gang signs?
I'm sorry. I was too busy laughing at the fact that Ryan had no clue that you hit the fucking button.
Turn me up in my head. Turn me up in my headphones.
I totally forgot what that music was. I was like, I can talk over music, and then Scott's voice comes rolling in.
All right, fellas.
My voice comes rolling in and my mouth's not moving.
Yeah, I'm like, that must be on the recording.
It is time for the 2-minute warning.
What is it?
2-minute warning.
There we go. We got it in.
There we go. Who's reading the questions? What do we got to start? I'm ready. Who you want me to go first? You want to go first, Scott, or what?
I'll go first. I'll go first.
I'll answer the first
I'll let
question.
you ease back
You're
into
going to
it.
answer the first question or
I'm
ask
gonna
us the
ask.
first?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
We'll
got
take
it.
it over.
I don't even know what's happening right now. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Russell Wilson, is he being wasted in Seattle while while he's in his prime, or should the team have shopped him this offseason?
I think the team should have shopped him at this point. I think they're in a position of almost a rebuild at this point. They're starting to do that. They could have shopped him. They could have got a lot for him. There have been plenty of teams who would have been willing to pay, hand over fist and an arm and a leg for this guy because he's still a good quarterback. He's still a top 5, 7, 10 quarterback, easy, no doubt. I think they should have shopped him.
Russell Wilson's not wasting his time at all in Seattle. He's getting paid as handsomely as he should get paid, and he's in a conference where he's constantly in the running for division titles. So every year they're in the playoff mix. I don't think that he's wasting his time there. Could he be in a better situation? The options are pretty limited because the teams that are that good that could use Russell Wilson already have a good quarterback.
Question 2.
ESPN Ocho came back this week, and people are clamoring for cornhole to be added to the Olympics. What do you think about yard games being added to the Olympics?
Look, we've already added like X Games to the Olympics at this point. Like
All kinds of stuff.
I fully anticipate that stuff like this starts coming out. We're gonna have Olympics with the cornhole. We're gonna. Did you see the guy that skipped rocks this week on ESPN Show?
That was on the Ocho.
That was pretty impressive. I'll give him
That
that.
kind of shit belongs on the Ocho. That's where it belongs.
But look,
TikTok.
Olympics have already gone way too far outside of what the Olympics were meant to be. Cornhole, I like playing it. I don't think it's an Olympic sport. I'm sorry.
These are the most athletic people in the world, right? These are athletes. There's nothing athletic about cornhole. There is certainly athletics involved in skateboarding and X Games type stuff. Skipping rocks, no. I do not want to.
That's a nice curveball.
Listen, I'm all for expanding the Olympics for athletic challenges, athletic competition. Cornhole is fun to do drunk on a Sunday night after watching a Ravens game or something. Does not belong in the Olympics.
What about the beer Olympics?
Have you
the Beer Olympics?
have you seen the 3x3 basketball? We got a shot. It's not the best anymore.
All right, Scott.
Oh, man.
Hey, man, it was a great week back. Appreciate all the love and support. I saw your all comments out there. I didn't want to get Drew in his feelings, so I didn't say anything. But you know what? I appreciate it. I love all the support. Thank you, Drew, for filling in and doing such a good job. You did great with your ad read. You held the chair down. My chair is yelling at me now because I'm back in it and I'm weighing 300 pounds, right? Ryan, you dick. Go ahead, Scott.
You said it. Now I got
No, you said it before.
Anyway.
I remember.
Well, the other thing that's changed since he's been gone, I don't use the script anymore. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. Make sure you go check out the website, www.birdlandbs.com. While you're there, you can check out each of our episodes. You can learn about each of us. Drew, who was in the chair, he's still on the website somehow. I don't know how, but we'll make sure that he stays there.
Make sure that's
Make sure you go
corrected.
check him out. Make sure you
Little
get yourself
deck, big patio. I don't know.
Make sure get yourself some Birdland BS gear. I am still wearing it this week. This is Birdland BS gear. Make
You were
sure
wearing
check us
that
out.
tag real well hanging out.
Yeah, it was
too.
hanging out for a little while. I realized that. Make sure,
me
a
off
bunch
the
of you
chair.
jackasses didn't say anything.
I had to let it go. I let it go.
Make sure y'all also check us out on Big Play and BirdlandSports.com. Make sure you also comment, like, subscribe, share on all of our social media platforms so that we can know how you like the show. If you have a comment that you want to bring up, we're more than willing to bring it up.
Stay
Craig
tuned
Zero
for
is
the
always doing it.
Birdland BS draft order.
Birdland BS draft order and after hours where we get into Durant and his comments later. As always, audio version of the show is available on iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen. So for Fred, welcome back, big buddy.
Thanks, man.
Ryan, James, and Drew, who did do a great job filling in.
He did.
Still hasn't been in an accident.
You didn't rear him in the back
Scott,
end?
I'm spending the night 'cause I'm not jinxing it.
Yeah, right. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya. It's time for the after party.
Last call for alcohol.
I feel like this could be
man.
a 2 hour after hours with all the stuff we want to do.
This could
All
be.
right, real quick, I got to talk about the Durant story because, Ryan, I felt like you hit the nail on the head with the fact they
We missed that nail.
No, he
Like,
didn't.
clearly missed it.
No,
His thumb.
if they beat France France is the one that blew them out in the exhibition, and they beat them by 5. It shows the rest of the world. What this showed me is the rest of the world is catching up
True.
to us in basketball.
I'll let you have first lick.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Oh, he's on mute. That's
Sorry.
how he's supposed to be. Wait, no, put him back there.
go ahead, Drew. Don't get in your feelings.
No, I want to hold on.
Just
Am I
go
allowed to
for
talk?
it.
Am I allowed to talk? I
Just
don't
go
know if I'm
for
allowed
it.
to. Of course the world's caught. Well, first off, of course the world's caught up because the NBA expanded the game to the fucking
Globally.
world.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's why they're scared of China right now because they don't want anyone to say nothing bad to screw that up. But two, I mean, we brought it up before the show.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys were playing in the playoffs. Like, well, 3 of them were in the championship game
Yep.
and then left. Didn't even really celebrate and had to go and go over
Then
while
they
some of
should
the
be
guys
in-
are already gone.
They should be in tip-top
Yeah.
shape then.
Listen, here's the thing. There's no reason that the
I didn't know
USA.
James was going that way.
Here's the thing. There's no reason USA shouldn't win gold every Olympics. They could be 4 rosters deep and they should still win gold. I don't care who you put out there from the NBA. But when you put a hodgepodge of roster together like this that hadn't had any time.
Was it really
Hold
a
on.
hodgepodge?
Yes. A lot of these guys have never played together. They hadn't had a whole lot of time to practice. To Drew's point, most of these guys were either in the NBA Finals or in the NBA playoffs, so they didn't have time to work together. So, yes.
You're going to make me say nice things about
Matt,
Duke.
hold on.
That's what's going to happen here. You're going to make me say nice things about Duke.
I think here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is truthful. This is how I feel truthfully. If you took any NBA squad, and put them in the Olympics, guys that have played together the entire year.
Atlanta would have blown the doors.
They
off.
would have blown the
No, they
doors
would've
off.
lost.
No,
They
they
would've
would have
lost.
blown the doors
No.
off and won that gold medal bigger than this team did together,
Basketball is basketball.
regardless of their names. No,
Basketball
it's
is
not.
basketball.
That roster was built terribly. When you have
Yeah, 'cause
zero.
no one wanted to play.
There was no-
LeBrons. Nobody wanted to play.
Damon Lillard was on the fucking bench.
They don't care. No.
Damon Lillard was on the bench.
But here's my
He's one of
thing
the best shooters in the game.
Most of the best players.
What are we
Trae
talking
Young-
about? Kevin Durant ran rampant through the playoffs.
Yeah, he's the only one. If he wasn't on the team, they would have lost.
here's
the
my
medal
thing.
round.
Devin Booker,
That-
another one of the best players in the game.
You want to know why Kevin Durant was so good? Because he didn't play half the fucking NBA
That's
season
wrong,
anyway.
dude.
Well, then neither one of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, all this micromanagement shit that the NBA does now that you see with every single team.
This is the reddest
Then
I've
that's the
seen
point.
Drew.
But you guys keep saying
All these guys, hold on.
But if the
all
All
these-
Stars aren't going to play, then you can't sit there and be, oh, you should be happy you fucking won.
This-
Well, the All Stars aren't playing.
Hold-
You're getting the best of the best that you
Right.
can get. The best of the best, like the other guys, are taking their $50 million and don't want to go.
Let me just do this. I'm a little upset at Fred because
Only 3 of them had ever
Hold
been in
on,
the Olympics
hold on.
ever.
I'm a
That's
li-
Alex's point.
I'm a little upset. I don't care about Alex. Let me just tell you
We
about
don't
this.
care about
I
you.
care about
Let me
Alex.
just tell you
I'm
this.
I love Alex.
I'm a little upset with
Right on
Fred
his face.
because Jordan, Magic, all these players played all these games straight. They didn't take a rest. They didn't take, all these new NBA players in the league now have rested the whole season.
I didn't say they were fatigued.
No, but I'm just saying.
I didn't say they were fatigued. I'm saying that they had just got done
It doesn't
playing.
matter. Basketball. I can pick up 5 people and go to the court and
It's
and
not.
be quiet.
Basketball's
Yes,
not
it is.
basketball.
They've been playing
At
for
the
so
Olympic
long.
level,
Yes.
when you're playing against international
Yes,
guys that have
because-
played together for fucking ever.
You know the
No,
rules
hold
are
on a
different,
second.
right?
Hold on a second,
You know
because-
the
I
rules are
understand the
different.
rules are
Because
different.
half,
The
half
basketball
of
is
those
different.
Olympic, hold on a second. Half of those Olympic guys also just played in the fucking
Some of them,
NBA.
the like 1 or 2
me
NBA
just tell
guys
you-
that they had on their roster.
let me
Yes.
just tell you.
And they
One or
were the
two-
most dominant
one or
players.
two
Let me just tell you. If
Who
they
was
were-
it? Who was it that had fucking what's the Spanish guard that was tearing us up?
Rubio.
Oh, Rubio. He was the only player that scored, and he kept them in the fucking
Let
game.
me- let me
He's an
tell you,
NBA player.
The people
That's
that play,
pathetic,
the
though.
team that they put together, is because no one else wanted to play.
Do you know
That
where this
team was
comes
trash.
from?
Hold on.
Do you know where this
Steph
comes
Curry
from?
Didn't want to play. Steph Curry didn't want to play.
It
If
doesn't
Steph
matter.
Curry was there,
Doesn't matter.
They would dominate
Doesn't matter.
him.
Doesn't
Durant,
matter.
all that.
You know why?
That team
Because
is
the
all
NBA
trash.
basketball game
It's
in
all
itself
trash.
fucking sucks.
No, that whole
There's
team
no
is trash.
defensive basketball in NBA play at all. These big
let a
international
guy-
teams start with defense.
Okay, so
first,
so to your point in that sense, right? And that's where I say the international market is
the
catching.
game has changed. You cannot compare the fucking best team in Olympic basketball history to this team.
Look,
there's no comparison.
and I'll agree with you, Fred.
But this team still went in there and
And
won
they
a
were-
gold
Hold
fucking
on,
medal.
hold on a second, though. I'll
They
agree
were
with you. I'll
playing
agree with you
2
on
out
that
of 3.
point. I'll agree with you on that point. But here's the deal. This is my point: is that the rest of the fucking world is catching up because they're realizing that the NBA and NBA
still
players and
aren't
all the
winning
players
the
that
gold.
are coming in are guys that do nothing but shoot. You have to come in a defense. This is an NBA finals
NBA
game.
dictates
Stop.
You're
that.
agreeing with what Fred said then.
Yes.
But the problem is that none
I
of
said
you were paying
I
attention
agree
to
with
what
you
Durant
to a
said.
point. What my point is that they come in, and this goes with what Ryan was saying.
You'll never see
You're
another
acting-
dream team. Great. That's right. That's exactly right.
And look, the dream team is in a level
could've
above
had
itself.
one.
100%.
But
they're
even
much
just
more
4 years
free
ago,
than
They
are
couldn't
then.
have.
Yeah, they could.
That team
And other
couldn't
people
hold the
wanted to play.
the fucking jock strap of the dream team. I don't care what
Yes, it
what
will.
10 players
got
you put
Steph
together.
Curry that can shoot
Well,
from the
then
other
here's-
side of the court.
well, then-
So fucking what?
Well, why is
That's impressive.
Not with Michael Jordan in his face.
Yes, Jordan wouldn't be in his face because he wouldn't be playing
He'd
him
be
up
the
like
two
that.
guard.
Sure,
But I
and
tell
Jordan
you-
would be playing D. So here's my. Here's,
I tell
so
you
this
what,
this
that
ties things
product
together
was
here for a
trash.
second.
Not
Hang
with
on.
Magic Johnson in his face.
That product was trash that they put
I
out
can't
there.
get a fucking word in edgewise.
But
Yeah, it's just-
you guys are all missing
You
the one
wonder
thing.
why I get loud.
The problem was not what they did. I agree. They won gold, did great. I would praise them if he didn't sit there and flex and say
He was in
all
his
you
feelings.
Idiots. Exactly. That's what Durant does is stay in his feelings. He's a
Exactly.
weak
And I don't disagree
human
with that.
being.
I don't
For a
disagree with
change,
that.
he was right.
He was in his feelings, but
That's what's
at the
my
end of the day,
complaint.
his point was right.
No, it's not his complaint.
Yes, it is.
His-
Okay,
his
hold on.
point- No.
What
stop,
was
stop.
his point?
His
What
point
was his point?
was-
Let's see if you get it right, because I think he's
'Cause
right.
he
I don't think
said-
you know his
Then-
point.
He
Go ahead.
said, you all thought the world had caught up with us. No, they didn't. This is our game. We made it. We're all sitting here agreeing the world is catching up.
That's what my point is.
The world still
He
can't
is
win the
wrong.
gold.
No, stop though.
Yeah,
because
they
you
can.
beat France, a team that blew you out. You beat them by 5 fucking points in a defensive game that you're talking about. The world is catching up to the defense.
I don't get how you can sit here and say this star
all
didn't want
trash.
to come. But if they were there, then they would have blown them the fuck out.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I will agree with your statement. If the bar is the fucking dream team, if your expectation is the dream team type of dominance, then I agree with you. The world is catching up.
Stop. The past 3 Olympics, we've blown out the fucking gold medal. Are you fucking kidding me? And we win by 5, and he's acting like we blew him out, and then they cut it up.
Nobody's acting like anybody blew it out. At the end of the day, they won the gold medal.
He just said the exact quote that Kevin Durant said. He said Kevin Durant made the statement that the rest of the world is not catching up.
You all blew it out of your.
You won the gold medal by 5 points in an 82 to 87 point game. You won by 5 fucking points. That is a defensive game in an NBA game where the average score is over 100. You were 20 points less than that with some of the best scorers. You talk about Damian Lillard being on the bench.
You just proved my point again.
I'm not talking.
NBA basketball game as a whole has changed.
I'm not
Birdland
talking.
faithful, they won the gold. That's all.
I'm not talking about what James is talking about with the guys that are the dream team that are being there. That's a different story. That yes, all those guys should have sucked it up, represented the country. Oh well, whatever.
Yeah.
The team that has, even historically, the past 8-10 years. Can you name guys that have been on the team the last 8 years?
Kevin Durant. I mean,
Yeah.
LeBron was there
James.
until this year.
Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony was there.
All right,
Kobe did it. I
And,
mean, like,
and if you want to
Yeah.
talk so much trash that basketball is America's game and that we will dominate,
If Kobe was
why do
there,
we
they wouldn't have just won by 5.
But why do we have like?
I'm not talking trash. I'm telling you.
not
He's
us,
talking about
him.
Durant. He's talking about
was
Durant.
talking it. Why do we have like dudes from the Y playing in the 3x3 tournament? You're telling me that 3 NBA players can't go play together on this? If you're really that proud of your basketball heritage and that this is America's game we invented, because we haven't invented very many. We stole one from the Native Americans and we invented this. That's it.
We didn't invent that. We didn't invent basketball.
and even then, I mean, you look at the women's team. The women's
Right,
3
just to let you
won.
know
It's
that.
The main star of the
No.
women's 3-on-3 didn't even know
Canada
she was
did.
playing on that team until 2 years before the
Canada
Olympics.
started basketball.
It's a fake
Just
sport.
to
There's
let
no
you know.
point in bringing that up, really.
Just to let you know. And second of all, if what's his face, the Mr. COVID for Denver, Gobert or
Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
The one that started all of this.
Yeah.
COVID. I want Mr. COVID.
if he would have made his foul shots, they would have won the game. France, just to let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they did.
At the
They
end
won
of the
the
day, they
gold,
still got
so-
gold around the neck.
Yeah, and speaking of gold, they should be at 2 out of 3.
Look, I get what you guys are saying. They won the gold, but you have to look at the
Anybody
overall
can win one
picture of what
game.
the statement that he's saying. That's all I'm saying.
Anybody can
The
win one game.
quality of game in the NBA has changed. It's gone downhill, which is why other countries are catching up to us. Because again,
They don't
So
play
we are
defense.
agreeing that other countries are catching up, especially defensively.
yeah, but okay, so it might not be to the level of dominance that it once was, but that again shouldn't be the expectation.
Okay, so let me ask
Kevin
you this.
Durant's now on that
If-
team. They're not winning gold.
And then, but
But he
like
was.
you said,
I know
but
he
this
was.
is the
Curry
Warriors and
said-
the Jameses
If,
are that
if
they
Giannis played for Greece, they wouldn't have won
We're running
gold
in
either.
circles. Let's get
Yes.
to the draft.
Yes, we'll get to the draft.
All right, so we're gonna start the the Birdland BS draft. All right, hold on before you pick anything out of there.
I'm not picking anything. I'm just mixing it up.
What are we doing here? Are we going back 12 to 1
I
or are we going
always
1
like
to 12?
last to first. That's
I like
always
12 to 1.
Yeah, 12-1 like we did last
Somebody
time.
write
12-1.
this down.
All right, got you.
All right,
right.
so
You're going
Ryan.
first.
I'll go in
the
there with the
sixth
first
pick.
pick.
I'm going. It's going to be Drew.
Wow, he's just shitting all over.
If I get
the
this, I'm gonna
I
be
don't know how
ticked
many I
off
have.
at
Is
you.
that 1? Okay, that's 1.
So this is 12.
With the 12th pick, right? 12th
Yes.
pick.
Yeah.
12th
With the
pick.
12th pick, PJ.
PJ. All
You
right.
got the 12th pick.
He gone.
All right. Here, I'll let you mix it up
If
for a
I got
second.
that 1 or the 12, I'm
I'll
gonna be so
pick.
mad. I don't want that 1 again.
All right. Here we go. With the 11th pick. Motherfucker.
Scott.
It's me.
What you get for talking shit?
Fucking damn it. Don't worry. You're right behind.
I don't like being behind you.
I don't know. Ryan apparently likes to be
Ryan.
behind you.
All right, with the 10th pick, the combination of the Hewitts, Christy and Ryan.
All right. Let you
I
mix it
feel
up.
like
I'll
he
take
had the
next one.
same, or Ryan had the 10th pick in our dynasty draft.
Hey,
I
what are
could
you
be
doing?
wrong.
What are you doing, Moss?
Oh, what am I doing? You're handing me a
The
bucket.
3x3 USA team failed to qualify. Yeah, we need somebody to take that. Let's let the national
what is this?
championship.
So 12, 11,
college team do
10,
it.
9. Joe C at number 9.
Carlozo.
Joe Carlozo.
At 9.
All right, mix it up here. Da-da-da-da-da. Go ahead.
I'll take it.
At 8, Drew.
Ah, fuck that number.
All right. Mix it up.
Hey, I'm resigning from the league
At 7.
Shortest stint ever.
after all the negativity tonight.
At 7, Brian Blake. Bartender Blake.
Am I going to get back-to-back picks number 6?
What, do you think it's going to be Jess or do you think it's going to be him?
No, I'm saying at number 6. This is where I picked in the dynasty draft. Am I going to get number 6?
No, I think this will be Jess.
This will be Jess? Okay.
I think it'll be Jess.
Ryan.
Ryan Sandler.
7 was Brian Blake, right?
Yep.
Yes.
You need to mix it up this time.
Still out there?
All right.
Oh, pick me before Ryan so I can fuck him.
6.
Every time.
6 is going to be Jess.
Jess, all right.
Not quite back-to-back with the husband-wife combo there. All right.
So what are we on now? 1,
Yeah,
Five.
split up the couple.
12,
houses
11,
where-
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
So we're on 4. So we're pick number 4.
5.
No,
Who's taking
pick number 4.
Saquon?
12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay, my bad.
Oh, here we go.
4th pick, Joe Reinhardt.
All right.
So you
Mix
got,
it up.
You got Troy, Fred, and me.
Yep.
You're gonna be
3 picks left.
Brian called 2 hours ago. James was the first overall pick. So we're
Carlozo
excited.
says if Fred gets 1, I quit.
Nah, I'm getting second.
Fred at 3.
Me at 3. Okay.
I'm getting
so you're still in
50
Carlozo.
shot. Brian called it 2 hours
Nah,
early.
I'm number 2.
I think Brian's right. I think you get first pick.
Wait, so who is it that's left? Troy and you, right?
Troy and him.
Yep.
I'm number
All right.
2.
Troy.
I'm me. It's me.
The number 2 pick is Troy.
Oh my
James
God.
has got the number 1 overall pick.
There it is,
Good
baby.
call, Brian.
How did
Wait,
Brian
who
do it
was-
2 hours early?
Who was at the funeral that you robbed?
That was Reinhardt.
Okay.
Which is
Troy-
1 pick below me.
see,
Troy's a good guy. You got to
I
meet
wanted
him.
him to get the first pick then, because I would, get that reparations.
Sorry, to
man.
recap, here we go. Number 1 pick, James. 2, Troy. 3, me. 4, Joe Reinhardt. 5, Jess. 6, Shamel. 7, Brian Blake. 8, Drew. 9, Carlozo. 10, the Hewitt household. 11, Foster. And Pigeon wraps it out with number 12.
All right. Oh, man.
I would love to trade my pick.
Already, trade pick number 1 is on the market.
I would love to go from 1 to 12.
Jesus.
You have to call PJ.
right.
I'm sure he'd entertain that.
All right, so here we go. We're doing Answer the Internet, but we're only doing 2 this week. I picked out 1, and Fred picked out 1.
Daddy
we don't know.
down.
We don't know. We don't know what each other
Team, keep
picked.
it clean. Engrave and be proud.
We don't know what each other picked, so we did pick ones that we agreed were cleaner than what we've been picking in the past. So I'll go with mine first, and then we're going to start with Ryan, and we'll go around the room. I'll answer last.
All right.
Who's the number 1 celebrity or athlete you want to see come back to life?
Well, I want Matt Wieters.
It's not.
So my wife.
He's not dead.
like it.
What's wrong with the voice?
You missed it last week. They all went Southern every time they were acting like it was
a
me.
little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, we're not doing that this week, Ryan.
No, we're not
This is
going to
actually
answer
your
as
pick.
Scott.
Hey, my
All right.
southern voice knocked it out of the park.
Well, I can't get my answer. We've already answered on here before, but I wanted to see Calvin Johnson again right now, and he just got into the Hall of Fame.
Calvin Johnson didn't die, did he?
We are talking
dead.
about
Jesus Christ. I was gonna say, the man just got a gold jacket, not a gold fucking coffin.
I thought it said alive or dead.
No.
Who's the number 1 celebrity
Oh my
or
God.
athlete you want to see come back to life?
Mitch Hedberg, 100%.
Oh,
Mitch Hedberg,
good answer.
Like one of my favorite comedians of all time, died
Mitch
way
Hedberg
too
is
early.
dead.
I know, but what was the question?
Number 1 celebrity or
It doesn't have to be
athlete.
Celebrity, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it
First
was
he
athlete.
can't hear, then you
I thought
can't
it was
hear.
athlete.
Jesus
I got you.
Yeah,
Christ.
I thought. So yeah, Mitch Hedberg, 100%.
Yeah, I
he
love
died
Mitch
way
Hedberg. I
too
work with
a bunch of
young. He
deaf
was too
people.
bright. Really
hearing.
shining young comedian. That's what happens, you know.
I
In
love
order to be
Mitch
that good at
Hedberg.
comedy, some bad shit's happened to you. So
Well, he did a
we
lot
lose
of
him a lot
drugs,
early.
so
Yeah.
that's
All right, James,
explain
what
the
do you got?
personality.
I don't know if it's right to say, but I would like to have Kobe back. I think he just died too soon. He has so much that he was going
that's
to
a good
bring.
one.
Good answer.
Like with movies coming out, documentaries, working with NBA players, giving back to the community. His daughter, and he was going to get a new product of his own coming out for like his own line of shoes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it just too young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Drew, what do you got?
Mine will go along the lines of what Ryan picked. Mine be Chris Farley.
God damn it.
Always is.
Carlozo said the same thing.
It always is. I was thinking athlete,
Must be
and
the
then I figured we're always talking sports here. So when he brought up comedian, it's along the same lines. Yeah, it's drugs, and yeah, you can point to doing it to yourself,
Right.
in a way. But dude, he was so like in a class of his own, and it would have been so cool to see like
Fat
Fat Guy can quote so much of his movies, both of all of his movies, and the fact that like he was on the rise to. He was going to maybe even try like real movies and not just be this, hey, look, I'm a fat guy doing stupid stuff. Like he was going to try to be serious. So yeah, number one for me.
Stephanie
always.
Summers bringing down the crocodile hunter back to life.
Steve Irwin.
Irwin.
All right. I get that. His son is a spitting image of him.
God damn yes.
I mean,
A spitting image of
I mean,
him.
if Steve Irwin would have died from a crocodile, he would still be epic. But to die from a stingray, I literally can't see a stingray without thinking of that man because it just was so out of the blue. Like, how does a stingray kill the crocodile hunter? Like,
Right.
what is this world?
yeah. All right, Fred,
Go
what's
ahead,
yours?
Scott. I lost mine. I had it, and then Steve
Farley.
Irwin threw me off. No. Steve Irwin threw me off. What was Hold on, I got to think. Go
All
ahead.
right. Mine would be I got to go along the lines of comedians. Robin
I
Williams.
knew you were going to go there. I
Robin-
legit knew you were going to go there.
3
Robin-
out of 5. right?
Robin Williams. I mean, the goddamn man is a comedic genius as far as I'm concerned, and he showed his versality. You talk about versatility.
Yeah, he had versatility.
Was Chris Farley like he was trying to get there? Robin Williams showed that to me. I would have loved to have been able to see him in live doing stand up one more time. My wife, I can tell you right now, my wife's answer would have been a John Panay, another comedian, hilarious guy. But yeah, when it comes to that, if you're talking sports guys, if I'm just going to throw that out there, I would actually have to say now that we've seen Shohei, I think I'd have to say Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
What does Babe Ruth look like next to Shohei?
You can't have two, man.
So
I'm just saying.
for me, and I'm going to keep with a similar vibe to yours, and I'm not a huge music guy, but one group and one person that had a huge influence on a lot of like music that I listened to growing up, Chester Bennington of Linkin Park. Absolutely love Linkin
Say
Park.
actor or
You
athlete?
said celebrity.
Celebrity.
It says
did?
celebrity.
Celebrity.
Yeah, but look,
So,
hey,
number one
I had my
celebrity or
ears open
athlete?
when that question was read.
Thank you.
Apparently
Drew is
no one
apparently
else
the
did.
only one that listened to what I was actually saying.
Len-
choice.
so I was
It's a
going to
great
go
choice.
Len Bias because he was somebody that I would have loved to
yeah.
have seen play. So that's a very good
Lunch
call.
break hot take with
Lunch
Len
break hot take is a
Bias.
very good call. But Chester Bennington for me.
Troy
and,
says
again, the music.
Bobby Williams, ODB.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
All
Chester
right.
was a Chester hit.
Yeah, that was good.
Send me y'all, send me yeah, send me yeah.
All right, go ahead, Fred. What's your question
yeah.
you're going to
So,
ask?
all right, I'll let you guys pick real quick. Sports or not sports?
Not sports.
Not sports.
Not
sports.
sports. All right. So it's kind of stupid, but
Oh, well, then go to sports.
So apparently we're answering both questions here in a minute.
all right. So would you rather be hairless or never be able to cut your hair?
Oh, hairless.
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 That was too easy. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
hairless.
easy.
I literally-
What bothers you about having too much hair? Is just too much to carry around, too much to
Too much manscape.
heat deal with? What is it?
Too much.
Too much to manscape.
I don't know. My neck gets all itchy and stuff. I like to be able to get rid of some stuff.
So hairless.
We're all
No.
going to look real weird.
It's too much maintenance. We're all men.
No
we don't want
beard,
maintenance.
no eyebrows,
I'm just
no
going to tell
hair.
them I'm really good at swimming. I'm Ryan Lochte in this shit.
You would look real goofy without eyebrows and without any facial. You'd look like you're 10.
I'll use it as an excuse.
You're going to look
Well,
goofy
no,
if you're
never mind, I
looking
won't
like
say
Cousin
that.
It, too.
That's true, too.
Exactly. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I got pictures of my cousin it period. It didn't look good either.
All right, so now I'm going to follow it up with the sports one real
That
quick.
was easy,
Because
yeah.
this was kind of funny, but
I looked like a gym teacher.
this is pretty funny. So could Gronk throw someone Adam Schefter's size over a field goal post?
Good Gronk?
Throw somebody Adam Schefter's size over a field goal
Yes.
post. 100%.
100%.
Absolutely
Yeah.
he could. He'd get fucking stoned out of his mind on something and just with that roll string.
He doesn't need to be stoned. He can just do it.
He'd just be excited for the opportunity. Yeah, okay,
right.
I'm in.
Oh,
The
yeah.
question is, can Tom Brady on the other side of the goalpost catch him?
No.
No.
That was
Well,
horrible.
that's it.
That was bad.
Yeah, they were the two games.
But real quick,
You had the choice to keep picking.
Well, I didn't
Well,
wanna
we
read
had to go the exact opposite of the last couple
we had
weeks.
talked about this before, but did you see like Justin Houston next to
Carlin's a good one too.
Calais Campbell?
Yeah.
My God.
Campbell's huge.
I know. I'm
He's
like,
6'9",
fuck.
300 or almost 300. He's a big dude.
Bartender Blake chimed in on the question and said, Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain, good pool. That's a good one too.
Good one.
I think
Yeah.
Carlin.
Craig
Yeah.
Zero
Another
says,
great comedian.
Craig Zero says, bring back to life JFK.
Yeah, see, the problem with that is I'm obviously too young, or all of us are too young to remember JFK.
Pretty sure Kamal or Craig Zero's too young for that too, but
Yeah.
Also, that feels real butterfly effect-ish. I don't know if that bringing back an assassinated president might start
Yeah,
some
it
shit.
might change it. None of us are sitting in this basement, I don't think.
That's too big.
Bring back Biggie.
oh man.
We just want the dumb, funny
Biggie.
people back.
Biggie's a good one too.
Biggie, Tupac.
Yeah.
So they're asking, who is this?
How bad's the Mount Castle
Alex
injury?
says,
It's a-
how bad is it?
So
Oh,
it's hard to
concussion.
gauge with that, any kind of concussion. Ask Brian Roberts how that worked out for him from banging himself in the head.
I
with
was
a bat.
there Friday.
Morneau.
I was there Friday night, and at first, I was actually when the tag came down. My dad and I looked at each other. I said, "Did he get hit in the face?" Because I thought he got hit in the face.
Right.
They didn't show the replay, and then you're seeing him. Next thing you know, somehow nobody in our section realized it. I didn't realize it. My dad didn't realize it. All of a sudden, that throw to first base, and Franco misses the scoop.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? Mount Castle's not. What the fuck's Franco doing at first base? Oh shit! Mount Castle's been. They didn't announce. That's one thing I don't like is they don't announce when somebody's been taken out like that.
Yeah.
So it was crazy to see the way he was laying down. Something happened. Something hit hard. Concussion protocol. Look, it can affect a guy short term. It can affect a guy long term. It depends on how many concussions you've had.
Yeah, he got
If
put
it
on what
explains anything to you guys, I've had
7-day.
four.
7-day thing, and
Yeah.
sometimes it is literally just a monitor thing.
Right.
Like he might not have had concussions, but the symptoms can come along
Yeah.
a couple of days later. So, but one way or the other, when you get put on that, you're on it. It's
Right.
not like, oh well, no, he didn't have a concussion. You're playing tomorrow. Like
Right.
no matter what, he's going to be. So he could be okay, or it could be worse.
It probably explains a lot to you guys. I've had 4 concussions.
Yeah.
So
I've
in
had
my
a few of my day too.
Yeah.
Catchers.
So-
Go ahead,
Am I right?
James.
Brian,
Actually, never got it from
Brian
catching.
just
Neither
sent
did
me
I.
a message saying that he did call him having the first pick last year.
all
He
right.
sent it, he sent it in last year. Say that
That's
he's probably
right.
gonna get the
Alex
He
says
did.
Harvey was looking like a good trade bait for a couple of starts. He did, but then he
Yeah.
fell apart. Yeah,
So-
just
I
good
don't
one
know.
there.
Back to the league. Is it looking like it's going to be Saturday morning?
Yeah, so I think right now the way that the vote looks, it's going to be Saturday morning the 4th. Draft starts at 9:30 a.m. So I would plan on getting there by 9 just to
Where?
make sure wherever to be determined. So I'll put that up yet. I don't know if we're going to do something at Ryan's house or if we're going to do something in a public setting. We had actually talked about what was the place that you
510
guys-
Johnny's.
510 Johnny's, yeah, up in Hartford County. They had a great brunch up there, and they've got a ton of space, so it would actually be a pretty good spot to do that if we're going to do it in a public
And if we get
place.
enough,
But-
if we get enough head count, we tell them ahead of time. They'll put aside of space.
But
So.
because of the Maryland game being that day, and we're doing it in the morning, we're not doing a actual physical with the draft board draft. We're going to be drafting through the
Oh, you
app.
got lucky, Drew.
which app?
Which that is the next thing, because apparently everybody in here wants to hibernate this thing over and
Let's do
over
it.
to Sleeper.
Guys, you guys are gonna love Sleeper if you're in our league.
Yeah,
I'm
if
telling
you haven't used
And
Sleeper
if
yet,
you're not in our league, you're gonna love Sleeper
happening?
because it's awesome.
And we're taking a vote.
we're seeing
It's gotta
we're
happen,
seeing
everybody.
it'll
Do
probably
it.
happen. There's sentimental reasons why I wanted to keep it with the
Drew's got
Yahoo.
this shitty keeper league on a 1985
Don't fucking bring up something that no one's
shit.
involved in. Don't bring
And
it
he
up.
wants, and he's pushing
There's
us from
4 of
Yahoo.
us involved
Hey,
in
you
that
guys
now.
didn't have to join in.
All right, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. See ya.